I am Polestar 3. I am pure electric performance. From the straightaways to the hairpin turns, I am designed to be driven. The drive of tomorrow. I am Polestar 3. Enjoy tariff-free pricing on Polestar 3, now through June 30th.
Futures have worsened a little bit, but it's still not a lot happening there. It's just, Bitcoin. Andrew, I don't know what that is.
Which?
Well, Bitcoin is certainly not digital gold, but even gold is not gold. Gold's not doing much either. Let's get to oil. Let's get to Dom Chu with a look at this morning's pre-market movers. If you slept through the weekend, you'd be like, yeah, that's what Jeremy Siegel said, Dom. Not a whole lot going on.
Well, and what's interesting about this, too, is outside of kind of the direct impacts of the Iran, Israel, and U.S. now escalation, there are still stories, guys, outside of that direct impact that are moving things around. So let's start with, for instance, shares of Tesla, right, this morning. They're higher by just about 0.75% after the company launched its highly anticipated robo-taxi service in Austin, Texas, just yesterday. The first trips are being limited to a small part of the city, with riders including investors and social media influencers who've kind of live streamed some of their trips, as you've seen. They've also included front passenger seat riders acting as safety monitors, though it's unclear how much control they actually have over the vehicle. Nonetheless, though, relative positivity for Tesla on the robo-taxi in Austin. Then we got J.P. Morgan out with a note this morning initiating coverage of the entire gaming sector. Among the top picks there are Penn Entertainment and Caesars. J.P. Morgan is starting those with overweight ratings. DraftKings was initiated at overweight and a $50 price target. Those shares are down slightly in the pre-market, and MGM shares are lower after they started coverage at a neutral rating and a $38 price target. But generally speaking, we're seeing a little bit of positivity across those gaming stocks. And let's finish with a check on shares of Estee Lauder. They're higher by just about 2% after being upgraded to a buy from hold over at Deutsche Bank. The analysts there say the company is diversifying beyond China and has fulfilled investments to enhance its supply chain. Deutsche also raised its target price on the stock to $95 from $60. That's an implied 26% upside from Friday's closing levels. Now, for more on that and other top calls of the day, just head over to cnbc.com/pro. Check out the banner on the bottom right there. You'll get all the access to detail and analysis behind those big calls and stories. Joe, guys, Andrew, Becky, I'll send things back over to you.
Yeah, Dom, I never produce anything, but I say we got to have a Keegan Bradley. Have you ever watched him? He's a very easy guy to do an imitation of because he's a total nerve ending. Did you see him, though, on 18 when he knew? Well, first we look at this. I don't know whether that's 9 or 15, but to get back into it, I think that might have been 9. That looked like it was about 60 feet. And then 15 hit a 35-footer. But then, he's down one, and you figure Tommy Fleetwood, who's on every leaderboard, almost every tournament, but never won the PGA. But watching that, Keegan birdies and Tommy Fleetwood bogey, so there's not even a playoff. But they started chanting USA. That's like, here's the Ryder Cup captain beating an Englishman, right,
yes.
Dom? And they start, and you know what's coming up on Golf Channel and NBC. I think it's the 25th through, the 27th of September.
I think it's that last week in September. And by the way, I had a chance when I was at the Players Championship earlier this spring to watch a fireside chat between Rory McIlroy and Keegan Bradley, talking a little bit about the Ryder Cup dynamic and everything else. It's going to be a spectacular move. But for Keegan, what I think is interesting about it, first of all, Tommy Fleetwood is going to get it soon enough. I just don't know when it's going to happen. I thought it was going to be there. With 4 holes to go, you would have thought it was going to be a playoff. And then, of course, that happened on 18. The other thing I would point out is if you look at Keegan's Ryder Cup standings, he has a very legitimate case to be a playing captain, given his point
playing himself, not picking himself.
Not picking himself, just
playing
himself on to.
And by the way, I think that he is somebody who had been an outsider to the world of golf for a long time.
Except for his aunt.
Except for his aunt, but he had a chip on his shoulder because he didn't come up the same way. He used to be a skier, competitive skier before he did this. I think he always kind of saw himself as an outsider. But I think he is feeling the love.
Yeah.
I think he is feeling the love of the tour. So excited about how this came about. To be named the captain, and it's so great to see him flourish and come in like this.
And he's a New England guy.
I was going to say he's a salty New Englander, and having lived in
Connecticut,
I'm not sure if
he's a Johnny.
He spent some time out in Colorado.
I think he's a Johnny too.
I think he spent some time out in Colorado before, but all part of skiing on this, but not where you normally see. Oh, it was St. John's because you don't see big golfers come from St. John's when you're playing up here. You don't get to golf all year.
And those two kids had on backwards, and it was best page black too. Billinghast.
Hey, by the way, the Travelers has produced some of those crazy moments, right? On the last hole, remember Jordan Spieth holding out that bunker shot?
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like an arena type. It's almost like where is that in Arizona where they have that par 3? I mean, there's a lot of people there.
Yeah, like TPC Scottsdale, and then you have the Travelers at TPC River Highlands. All these TPC courses, they tend to be fun venues, I guess.
You know a lot, Dom. I know you can always, you're always ready, too, for...
Well, when it comes to golf, I am, and maybe some of the markets every once in a while.
Yeah. Thanks, Dom.
You got it, guys.
Coming up, former Bush administration foreign policy advisor Dan Senor is going to be with us. Talk about the potential responses from Iran to the U.S. bombing over the weekend. Somebody who's got smart thoughts for us always on these topics. And as we head to a break, take a look at shares of Novo Nordisk. The latest trial results on its experimental obesity drug continue to fuel investor concerns about its ability to compete with Eli Lilly's pipeline. In the last few minutes, Novo now saying it is terminating its collaboration with Hims and Hers Health and will no longer offer direct access to its weight loss drug Wegovy on that platform. And look at Him and Hers Health right now.
Remember how they spiked when they joined.
Right, that stock down about 15%, in large part because originally they were making their own version of this.
Yeah.
Then Novo said, no, we're going to go after you. The FDA said, we don't want you doing this. Then they made this deal. Now the deal coming undone. We're going to try to dig into what's going on behind the scenes when Squawk Box returns.
Do you want to know where to invest $1,000 right now? Well, forget about AI, quantum computing, electric vehicles, cryptocurrencies, or robotics. A little-known technology is projected to become roughly 10 times bigger than all of these technologies combined. The World Economic Forum says that it's arguably the most exciting human discovery since fire. And billionaire entrepreneur Vinod Khosla says you can make 1,000 times your money by investing in this phenomenon. But if you want to claim a stake in this revolution, you have to act fast. We're about to cross what Barron's calls an impending tipping point. So do you want to know how to get started with this technology? Go to the website on the screen, and I'll show you how. Hi, my name is Whitney Tilson. I'm a former hedge fund manager. I've been featured in virtually every single major financial publication and TV show. How did I accomplish all this? I'll tell you this. I don't come from money. In fact, my parents were teachers who met in the Peace Corps. The secret to my success is that I have a knack for finding explosive investments in massively disruptive technologies. I bought Amazon in 1999. I bought Apple in 2000. And I bought Netflix in 2012. Investments like that helped me grow my hedge fund from $1 million to $200 million and nearly triple my clients' money. The technology that just landed on my radar might be the most disruptive and lucrative one I've ever seen. One market insider predicted that it could be even more important than the Industrial Revolution. And I want to give you, free of charge, the name and ticker symbol of the company at the center of this disruption. You don't have to give me your email address, your credit card, or anything like that. Just go to the website on the screen, now.
Here on the internet, you can pretend to be anything.
Like a medical professional. Or a skilled electrician.
Don't trust the unfiltered internet. Angie has 30 years of experience finding the best pros.
Angie, job's done well. Silver is at a 10-year high. Kootenai Silver boasts one of the largest resources owned by a junior company. With the new high-grade discovery in Mexico, the potential for growth and leverage to silver is significant. Kootenai Silver.
CNBC Podcasts. All your shows on the go. The latest market news and analysis. Ready when you are. Don't miss out. Listen to CNBC wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Squawk Box. Nearly 36 hours ago, we learned that the U.S. bombed 3 nuclear sites in Iran. And for some insights now on what comes next, implications for Israel and the U.S., and options available to Iran and its supreme leader. I want to bring in Dan Senor. He's a former foreign policy advisor in the Bush administration, host of Call Me Back's podcast. And it's great to see you this morning.
Good morning.
As we try to understand what comes next. So let's just start with this, the retaliation issue. What do you see happening next?
Look, we knew that Iran was on a path to a nuclear weapon. We knew that Iran is the foremost state sponsor of terrorism in the world, which poses a threat to the United States, the West, and Israel. We know it has these projectiles that it can fire off to Israel and to other U.S. allies and assets in the region. But what we don't know is what Iran can actually do now in a world in which, and consider the following, its air defenses are basically knocked out. Its proxy system, Hezbollah, Hamas, are all basically wiped out. Its economy is a basket case. There's internal opposition to the regime. Now, whether that turns into a revolution or an uprising remains to be seen, as you guys were talking about with Karim Sajapur. But at a minimum, we know it's not clear the population is rallying to the regime. So for the regime to take action now, you just sort of look at, like, what are their options? There aren't many. Do they, I hear people speculating that they have sleeper cells that they could activate around the world. It's not clear what they've been able to actually effectuate.
Do you believe
the last
there are
few
sleeper
years.
cells?
I mean, I've heard reports that there are. I don't have any firsthand knowledge of it. But keep in mind, after the first Trump administration took out Qasem Soleimani, the head of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, we kept hearing that these sleeper cells were going to be activated. Now, there were threats against leaders from the former Trump administration, from the first Trump administration, including threats against President Trump, Mike Pompeo, John Bolton, and others. But nothing has been executed. So is that because of incompetence? I mean, one thing you can look at with regard to Iran over the last few days is just sheer incompetence. So maybe it's incompetence, or maybe the U.S. has been on high alert and been headed off.
One of the questions about competence is, do we believe that they were able to hide any of this nuclear material? Meaning, did we get it all? Did we get some of it? Did we get none of it? And how are we ever going to figure that out?
Yeah, so we don't know. We don't know right now. I have a feeling the Israelis know a lot more. Prime Minister Netanyahu has sent some messages in some of his press engagements that there will be information that will be forthcoming about where that 400 kilograms of enriched uranium is. I would just say this, though. For Iran to build a nuclear bomb, what do they need? They need the infrastructure, the facilities. Those seem largely decimated, or at least substantially set back.
They're scouring the grad schools right now for some physicists.
Right. 2, they need scientists. They need the knowledge. And Israel has systematically been killing the knowledge over the last week and actually over the last few years, so there aren't the scientists. And 3 is the process, meaning if you have some enriched uranium, can you activate the process and turn that into a nuclear bomb? That takes time when you don't have the infrastructure and you don't have the experts. So 2 of the 3 have been removed. I don't know where that 400 kilograms
And if it's not 300 feet down, I guarantee Mossad's going to be looking for it and trying to...
Well, that was my question. Do you think that there's now going to be people from either Israel or elsewhere physically inside this country trying to either find it and trying to literally eliminate some of the other scientists or others that would be otherwise engaged?
I think that what the Iranians have learned over the last week is the Mossad, that their country, Iran, has been crawling with Mossad agents. There's a joke that has been flying around on Telegram and other platforms in Iran because no one has seen the supreme leader in days, Khamenei. And so there's been big questions. Where is Khamenei? Where's Khamenei? And they said the only people who know where Khamenei is the Mossad, because the Mossad is like everywhere. So do I think that Mossad has some capabilities? I don't know for sure, but I suspect if you look at anything, if you consider anything about the intelligence capabilities of Israel.
The big next question then, if we're talking about where is he, do you believe there will be regime change? What do you think Israel's doing, and what do you think the U.S. will do, and how does this all play?
I don't think the U.S. or Israel will pursue regime change. I don't think they need to pursue regime change. The regime is weak. The Iranian regime right now has two choices. Either they try to retaliate and will provoke such a dramatic response from the U.S., even more dramatic than we saw over the weekend, that the regime could collapse, or they could lay low. And then many in the regime, many in the country will wonder why. The regime has been telling us for the longest time, if the U.S. did anything approximating what it just did on Saturday night, the regime would come back so ferociously. So where's that ferocious response? And that could, if there's not a ferocious response, that could invite people within the country to start pressing the regime.
Somebody we talked to earlier this morning said maybe you wouldn't see I can't remember if it was Kareem or someone else. Maybe you wouldn't see, maybe what would happen is the IRG would come in and kind of take over things. So it would be change, but not necessarily for the better.
Yeah, I think it could be a weaker state. I mean, that's what you need to think of. Is like, if you look at other countries in the region, could Iran be on a path to becoming Oman or Yemen, or just a country that is just a weak state? And I think that is the most likely scenario right now. Now, that could
can we just go, before we hit the regime change, or just one little follow-up to you on, if we find out that they still have some form of nuclear something, okay, is it then incumbent upon the United States to continue going after that or not?
I think between the U.S. and Israel, there will be a sustained effort to keep going. Keep in mind,
is the U.S. part of that, or does Israel just take
so keep in mind, Israel right now has total air superiority. They are in control of the skies over Iran. So, I mean, I've spoken to journalists in Israel and those in the Israeli security system who sit there saying, over the last week, it's like a candy store. They know where a lot of Iran's capabilities are, and they're sitting there thinking, wait, we should take this out, we should take it, because they just have total control of the skies.
And you think that's just going to happen for the next couple of weeks? They'll just keep taking everything?
Indefinitely. I think they'll be for some time. I don't see the Iranians restoring their air defense capabilities, certainly not now. But the question is, even if the U.S. did not take out the entire capability, we know at a minimum it's been set back substantially. So it was weeks, possibly days away from being able to hit that threshold where they could have a nuclear weapons capability. And I think at a minimum today, we are years away from Iran having that path.
And Iran without its shiny little object is not the same Iran. And I don't want to talk about startup region, but you wrote your book, Startup Nation, about Israel. When an expansion of the Abraham Accords and, I don't know, some cooperation and some acknowledgement that Israel has a right to exist, and then a move to come into the 21st century, does it ever happen?
It's a great question, Joe. Why did the Abraham Accords happen? Why did the Emiratis and the Bahrainis, to name two, want to partner with Israel? Because they saw Israel as a technology superpower in the world, as we wrote about in Startup Nation, an economic superpower in the region, and a military and intelligence juggernaut in the region. October 7th punctured that last part, military and intelligence juggernaut. Suddenly, all these Arab countries start to say, wait a minute, maybe Israel's not all that. I think what we've seen over the last year, go back to the pager attack almost a year ago, and then what you saw Israel do against Iran in the last week, suddenly the perception of Israel as this military and intelligence juggernaut is back, and I think you're going to see more and more. And there's another key component. When you talk to the Saudi leadership, they have said for the longest time they want to work with Israel. They want to normalize with Israel, and they want to isolate Iran. They were worried about U.S. leadership. They were worried about, look, if we go out there on a ledge, is the U.S. going to back us up? And I think what they saw over this past week, that is why what President Trump said in his press statement on Saturday night was so important. He said, Israel and I, Netanyahu and I, were a team. We are a team. And that sends a message to the Saudis, do you want to join the team?
Okay, interesting question about team, though, in terms of Iran going forward. Who is on their team? Is Russia on their team? Is China on their team? I mean, look, China's been propping up this economy by buying its oil for a very, very long time. Similarly, we have a Russia situation. What I don't know is, in terms of replacing all the missiles that they no longer have, giving them planes, all of that.
Iran had been supplying Russia with drones in the Russia-Ukraine war.
And so
Russia was the dependent child.
But does somebody start supplying them with stuff?
I'm highly skeptical. I think, if you think about it, the United States has four key enemies, adversaries in the world today: China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran. 3 of those 4 countries have a nuclear weapon. The 4th was on a path to getting a nuclear weapon. Moscow and Beijing just watched the United States for the first time. We've tried so many diplomatic efforts over the last couple of decades to get countries, which going back to 2006, trying to get North Korea diplomatically to not get a nuclear weapon. Moscow and Beijing have just watched the United States say we are willing to use military power to stop an enemy from getting a nuclear weapon. So I think Moscow and Beijing now are like, on their back foot saying, now this is a new world, and it has implications not only for who may help Iran, and I do not think Russia and China will help Iran. I think it has huge implications for how China now thinks about Taiwan. Now they have to start thinking, wait a minute, if Trump is willing to do that, what else is he willing to do?
I mean, I can't believe it survived 46 years in a repressive regime, really, that's living hundreds of years ago in the way it's doing things. I can't believe it lasted 46 years, and I think it's just from its own weight going to implode eventually. It only exists to serve itself, not for the Iranian people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
What does it exist for?
We saw in 2009, we saw a real, a revolution brewing against. Obviously,
in the
last couple of years, we saw this women's movement brewing. So there's something going on. There's a big part of Iranian society that's secular. It's a very educated young society.
In 1978, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, I will say that what blows me away is you go back almost 40 years when Iran was responsible via Hezbollah for the slaughtering of 241 Marines. So leave aside what the Iranian people want. The U.S., we have been living. When I was in Iraq, Joe, this was a normal thing. We knew Iran was responsible. What we now know is the slaughtering of almost 1,000 American military personnel in Iran.
Every time I see wounded warriors and I see those, the guy giving a salute, that's an IED that these MFs made.
Right.
I mean,
right. So I think that's the idea that this regime, we knew they were trying to build a nuclear weapon through 4 presidencies. Through 4 U.S. presidencies, and we basically didn't have a plan. We were trying diplomacy, it didn't work, and now it seems like we have a plan.
Dan, thank you. Great to be with you guys. Appreciate it. Squawk Box coming right back after this.
With the vision to see what's possible and the grit to make it happen, Morgan Stanley can help create the future only you can see.
When I started Walton Goggins Goggle Glasses, I knew I'd be its fancy name and pretty face. But I didn't know how to turn all this fancy prettiness into a classy-looking logo. But GoDaddy Aero does, with its magical AI powers. It not only creates it, it slaps that sweet thing everywhere. Here, there, all over the dang place. Well, that logo is sexier than a salmon seersucker suit on a summer Sunday. Look like you know what you're doing at GoDaddy.com.
Zepbound means change for adults with obesity to help lose weight and keep it off. Zepbound can help adults lose up to 48 pounds. And some lost over 58 pounds.
It's changing what I believe is possible when it comes to weight loss.
Don't take if allergic to it, or if you or someone in your family had medullary thyroid cancer or multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2. Tell your doctor if you get a lump or swelling in your neck. Stop Zepbound and call your doctor if you have severe stomach pain or a serious allergic reaction. Severe side effects may include inflamed pancreas or gallbladder problems. Tell your doctor if you experience vision changes, depression, or suicidal thoughts before scheduled procedures with anesthesia. If you're nursing, pregnant, plan to be, or taking birth control pills. Taking Zepbound with a sulfonylurea or insulin may cause low blood sugar. Side effects include nausea, diarrhea, and vomiting, which can cause dehydration and worsen kidney problems.
I'm working to help break the cycle of weight loss and regain.
Because Zepbound means change.
Ask your healthcare provider about Zepbound. Explore savings options today.
When you own your own business, you own every decision. And with 8 times points on Chase Travel, now own the card that rewards you for it. Introducing the business card that gives back all you put in. The new Chase Sapphire Reserve for Business.
The new How to Train Your Dragon menu is now at BK. Get it before it disappears. Ooh, delicious. Bold, tasty, and dangerously delicious. How to Train Your Dragon. Only in theaters.
It's 8 a.m. on the East Coast, and you're watching Squawk Box right here on CNBC. I'm Becky Quick, along with Joe Kernan and Andrew Ross Sorkin, and we are following the latest developments in the Middle East after U.S. strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. The extent of the damage still unclear, but this morning, the UN's atomic energy chief said that Iran's Fordo enrichment site is expected to have significant damage. GOP leadership telling NBC News that Senate Republicans are trying to move President Trump's tax bill through their chamber as early as this week. Tonight, lawmakers are expected to discuss the reconciliation process. And NEC Director Kevin Hassett will join us later in the hour with the latest on the tax bill and much more.
Meantime, I want to take a quick look at futures right now. Things down now. You know, before we had a little bit of a better picture, but nonetheless, you're looking at the Dow off about 60 points right now, NASDAQ off about 8 points, the S&P 500 off about 3 points. It had been light earlier. For more on the markets, want to get straight over to Mike Santoli at the NYSE this morning. What's happening here?
You know, modest moves in either direction, up or below the flat line, Andrew. Futures twitched lower at the open last evening, down about 0.5%, but generally not dramatic moves. And the equity market is not going to necessarily over-extrapolate any impact for the weekend's events if the crude oil market is relatively calm. And that's been the case so far. Equity's not seeing too much immediately to reprice. Part of the reason is we've been kind of churning in this familiar zone for a little while. It's not as if the market was way out on some kind of enthusiastic edge coming into this weekend. So you see here under 6,000, 59.60s. This is basically, you know, 0.5% above where we closed on November 6th. We've been at this level for about 5 weeks. And you see it basically is this consolidation zone after that big rebound rally that we got. One effect of the last few weeks' events, beginning probably with the Israel attack on Iran, is that non-U.S. markets have given back some of their outperformance. So this is all equity markets except for the U.S., and you see it kind of burst above the S&P 500 at the start of this year, and then it has now come in much more than the U.S. equity market has, so that sort of shows you a little bit of maybe hesitation about that global trade. We're also seeing some firming in the dollar. Did want to point out movements within the industrial sector, as you might expect, and maybe we've been talking for a while. Aerospace and defense has been one of the strongest parts of the market. That's the ITA. That is about 25, 26% of the overall industrials ETF. That's XLI. So clearly the big source of upside performance there. IYT there, that's transportation. And that's about half as big within the industrial sector as aerospace and defense. You see really lagging here. I would also point out Uber. It's been one of the biggest upside pushes in the industrials as well. It's like the third biggest holdings in the XLI. It's 4% of it. So while it's a good economic signal to have industrials performing okay, and they still have been, it's not necessarily the most economically sensitive parts of the industrials that's working. So clearly with expectations about conflict, but also general defense budgets going up, the ITA has been the upside leader.
Okay. Mike Santoli at the NYSE. We'll be seeing a lot more of you today. Thanks.
FedEx founder Fred Smith died Saturday in Memphis of natural causes. Smith was a revolutionary business leader. He dreamed up the idea of FedEx while he was a student at Yale University. He wrote an economics paper on it, and his professor gave him a grade of a C. But that didn't deter Fred. He raised money from family and friends, and he started the business at the age of 26. Growing FedEx from its inception in 1973 to the largest transportation company in the world with more than 500,000 employees and annual revenue of about $90 billion. FedEx now averages 17 million shipments each business day. Smith ran the company as CEO for over 45 years with an incredible attention to detail. He stepped down as CEO in 2022, but he remained executive chairman. Fred was still incredibly active, both at FedEx and beyond. I moderated an interview, a panel with him at the Business Council just last month. It was a conversation with Fred, Chris Kempczinski of McDonald's, and Larry Culp of GE Aerospace. He was a vocal proponent of both global trade and tax reform. In fact, I just spoke with him a week ago, and he had planned to come on for an interview in August as we got through the summer on some of this. Smith was an American through and through. He routinely credited his time in the Marine Corps, where he served two tours in Vietnam, for why he was so successful in business. He was friends with former President George Bush, who yesterday put out a statement about Fred saying, My Yale fraternity brother loved America. He was not a citizen. He was a citizen, not a spectator. I twice asked him to serve as Secretary of Defense, and he declined twice only because of his devotion to family. In a message to FedEx employees, the CEO, Raj Subramanian, called Smith more than just the pioneer of an industry and the founder of our great company. He was the heart and soul of FedEx.
Mm-hmm.
One of the greats.
We did the show down there in Memphis 20 years ago, probably. And he's just an amazing guy. I told you this story. My daughter was on, and she was a little kid. She had her camera. She didn't become a photographer, but he saw her on, and his beloved daughter, Wendy, who passed, he gave Blake a subscription that I think she still has for a photography magazine. Just seeing her, having seen her on TV. He was such a kind, gentle man. And I remember in 1973, just the idea, I was in high school. Well, it was like, you can't do that.
Right.
The post office loses money every single year. You can't make a for-profit company that replaces the post office. It's impossible. And watching it happen was mind-boggling.
The post office is ultimately replaced.
Yeah.
We'll look back, and Fred will have been the one who did it.
Just the idea of thinking that you could do that is insanity. And great ads, absolutely positive. And the FedEx guy.
Well, he made a cameo in the Tom Hanks movie, too. You remember Wilson?
Oh, yeah. Right.
Castaway,
right.
The movie, because that was a pilot on a FedEx plane that crashed. They used FedEx for that, and he actually made a cameo in the movie. I mean, this guy has defined American business. A huge American.
Too young, too. I thought
he was 8
with
years
what
old.
he did to still be a young guy. I consider 80 to be a young guy and to have founded that. But he was 26 years old. Just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Professor gives him a C. Perfect.
And to think of
those who can,
only up until about a decade ago did it all run through Memphis.
Yeah, right.
Maybe, 10, 15, 20 years ago, it was literally every package went through one place.
Right.
It's an amazing thing.
It really was.
Fred Smith will be missed greatly. He was 80 years old.
At AT&T Business, we guarantee our best deals on any smartphone with your choice of our best plans. What we can't guarantee, your employees having a similar work style. You hired them. Or your staff, all having the same vibe. I like this style. And your design team being on the same page.
Bold choice.
For 2002.
What AT&T does guarantee, our best deals on any smartphone with your choice of our best plans for any employee. And we mean any.
You still here?
Yeah, I've been here for hours.
Oh, bad luck.
Ooh, did somebody say luck? Lady Luck is my name, and making business better is my game. Busy. Let me take care of your scheduling for you.
Oh, we have Clover. It does our scheduling for us.
Well, I guess you don't need my luck then. Oh, I could do this. All done.
Oh, I just stay for the game.
With Clover, the world's smartest point-of-sale system. Create your own luck.
Can you believe this, man?
Everyone's getting that new Simply Safe outdoor monitoring. Now they can help prevent crime before it even happens.
How do we compete with AI-powered outdoor cameras that alert live agents of an intruder?
Stop. This is Simply Safe. Police are on the way.
Whoa! I didn't even see those guys.
So what about us now?
Luckily, I'm pretty adorable. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
At University of Maryland Global Campus, every week you learn something new, and it just enhances skills that you're bringing to the table. You should never want to stop learning. There's new things that happen every day with technology. You can immediately just jump right in and use those skills. Because of my degree from UMGC, I feel confident. I have the background when I walk into any room, and you can go conquer anything in the world with UMGC.
Nothing stands still. Not economics, not the market, and not Franklin Templeton. We've been navigating market ups and downs for over 75 years. Trusted by advisors and investors to deliver perspective and strategies for even the most volatile of markets. Empowering advisors with solutions to build nimble portfolios for today and beyond. Franklin Templeton, your trusted partner for what's ahead.
Welcome to CNBC Plus. Market destination?
CNBC Plus. On-the-go access to global market data, news, and analysis as it happens. Start streaming at cnbc.com/plus.
Well, it says here Bitcoin's rebounding, I guess maybe, based on whatever close. It did drop below $99,000 mark. That was yesterday. Joining us now, it doesn't feel like it's up $2,000. Anthony Pompliano, founder and CEO of Professional Capital Management. It kind of slowly just has been selling off for about 3 weeks, I think. And last week it got worse, broke under 105 all the way down to 99. I mean, I know what you're going to say. But when there's things like this going on, people sell what they're able to sell, and it's pretty liquid.
Yeah, look, I think that over the weekend, we've now seen throughout this year, multiple geopolitical events have transpired on Saturday or Sunday. The traditional markets are closed. Bitcoin is 24/7 global and liquid. And so people do sell what they want to sell. Now, we see that stocks are down this morning, and I think that many assets will get sold when people are able to sell those as well. But also, I think that a core function of Bitcoin is not only the accessibility, but it is the volatility. And what you're seeing here is that people are reacting, whether it's positive or negative. Bitcoin just moves more. And ultimately, if you look over the last 90 days, Bitcoin's up 15%, and it's up over 50% in the last year. So I think Bitcoin investors are very happy that they're continuing to see volatility.
I just think that the overriding theme of the past 2 months, though, has been cool inflation and more dovish comments coming, at least from some members of the Fed. That's what Bitcoin wants, isn't it? I mean, a rate cut. Rate cuts, QE, anything that increases the number of dollars out there. The big, beautiful bill is going to add how much? I mean, all these things seem like they're playing right into Bitcoin's wheelhouse. It was up to 110,000 from where it was at 17, 2 years ago? 17,000? It wasn't that long ago. So it's come a long way, but it is. And you can't look at it the way I'm looking at it.
If you think about that volatility, Bitcoin was down, $75,000, $76,000 just a few weeks ago.
Right.
We're back up over $100,000. And so again, it's the volatility of Bitcoin is what is attractive to a very large audience of those holders. But also, I think that the large pools of capital now realize that it is big enough for them to allocate to. And that's where you're really seeing kind of this adoption, both on Wall Street and at the nation state level. And I think that's only going to continue.
And that's going to be for the original reason, and that is as an alternative to fiat, and there's only 21 million. Because stable coins, based on the dollar, if they're real and have 102% backing with treasuries or however they want to do it, that could, seems like, base, put it on Ethereum or whatever you put it on, that could take the usage case away from being a big benefit for Bitcoin, couldn't it? If Bitcoin was stable, get up to, let's say it gets up to $1 million a coin, which I'm just.
Well, Bitcoin is stable. Bitcoin is stable, right? 1 Bitcoin equals 1 Bitcoin, and I think what you're seeing is the Bitcoin dominance.
I know, but you don't want to use it necessarily. You don't want to buy a pizza that's worth $1 trillion in 10 years, so it's not being used for that yet. You could use stable coins the same way, couldn't you?
Yeah, well, I think what people are doing is they're saying, I want to hold the things that will be valuable in the future, and I want to get rid of the things that aren't going to be valuable in the future. So they're literally selling the stablecoin. They're saying it's not going to be valuable in the future, and they're saving and holding the thing that's going to appreciate in value, which is Bitcoin.
Okay, so those are different usages then for Bitcoin. Bitcoin ever become the way that transactions are done around the globe instantaneously?
People already do that to some degree. I think it'll continue to become more and more popular.
But the question is, in a stablecoin world, does it erode the value of Bitcoin in that regard? Meaning to the extent that people want to be able to move money from place to place to place?
Yeah, well, I think
that's part of the argument about what Bitcoin's able to do.
I think right now we still live in a dollar-denominated world, and so people are pricing the assets in dollars, and so people are going to spend the dollars to buy those goods. As you see more and more organizations start to price things in Bitcoin, which is a big if, but if that happens, then you will see Bitcoin become the medium of exchange, because now what you're doing is you're taking away that exchange rate or that volatility in dollar prices.
Okay, different question, just about your own life.
Yeah.
So you're going to have now the Pompliano sort of empire, between the SPAC, which you're working on, between this effort, between your media efforts, how are you going to devote yourself to these different activities.
Yeah. Well, today we're announcing what is the largest initial fundraise for a publicly traded Bitcoin treasury company in history. We've raised over $750 million. It's a $1 billion merger with the Columbus Circle SPAC. And the idea here is we want to really be successful in the financial services sector. And so if you think about this ProCap SPAC, that is a dollar-denominated vehicle to go and do an acquisition. The ProCap Financial is the exact same thing. It's a publicly traded company where we can go and we can acquire Bitcoin.
Right.
And so I think that that is where my entire career has sat. I sit at the intersection between the internet and the Bitcoiners and the institutional world. We've been very fortunate to have a lot of institutional investors participate in this round. But also, I think that there is a dollar-denominated world and there's a Bitcoin-denominated world. And what I want to do is continue to sit at the intersection of that and provide ability not only for myself and our shareholders.
Are you operating these businesses? I mean, are you effectively the CEO operating them, or are you going to have teams that are doing this for you? How's this going to work?
Some of the different vehicles, obviously, we will hire entire dedicated teams. In the private market, that's what we've done. We own a lot of businesses. And we have CEOs and executive teams that run those businesses. I will be the CEO of ProCap Financial, which is the business combination with Columbus Circle. And what I believe is the opportunity there is you're able to acquire Bitcoin, but then not only just acquire Bitcoin. Buying Bitcoin and allowing it to go up in price obviously has been a successful strategy, but I believe that the future of these companies is going to be how do you build revenue and profit, the financial services on top of that. No different than if you look at the traditional financial service firms. They have a balance sheet of dollars, and they go and they build these financial services on top that drive revenue and profit. I think that you still have to build a business on top of a big pile of Bitcoin.
Very good. All right, Tom. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
Okay, you're welcome.
All right, still to come this morning, the CEO of Gilead Sciences on the company's breakthrough injectable HIV prevention drug. Squawk Box will be right back.
I'm Allison Lundberg, strategist at AmericanEagle.com. Wagner came to us with a goal to make their website user experience seamless and simplify access to product information for customers. We build enterprise websites like this all the time. Through a fully integrated digital transformation, WagnerSprayTech.com is now a fast, mobile-optimized website with an engaging user experience. For complete website and digital solutions, go to AmericanEagle.com.
Since starting the farmer's dog, Bogart has lost so much weight, and he has so much more energy. It's like a puppy again. Mambo! This is a before picture of Bogart. Such a big boy. Pre-portioned packs. Makes it really easy to keep him lean and healthy. And look at him now. He's like a show dog.
Bogue, can you give Daddy a break here? He's having a hard enough time.
This is the story of the one who believes being prepared is not just a way of life, it's how he helps everyone stay safe. He sweats the small stuff before it becomes big stuff. For the one, being an unsung hero in a building full of everyday heroes is just how he likes it. The industrial-grade products you need delivered fast. Call, click Grainger.com, or stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
All right, Clarky, here we go. Okay. Clarky. All right, we'll do it big.
When your dog's superhero moment goes sideways. Oh! Pumpkin Now, the new urgent pay service from Pumpkin Pet Insurance, can pay you for eligible critical care in just 15 minutes, even before you pay the vet.
Surgery went great. Clarky's a really brave boy.
Ask your vet about Pumpkin Pet Insurance or visit pumpkin.care and see Superman, only in theaters July 11th.
Everyone loves the new Jersey Mike's chocolate chunk mini cookies made with brown butter, baby. The camera person, the sound person, even the person who lives in my pocket.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Prime Day is coming July 8th through the 11th with great deals on whatever you're getting into next.
What's the move? Plate, bank, bank. Buckets.
Well, the world has a new wonder drug for preventing HIV/AIDS. The FDA approving Gilead's injectable just a few days ago. And joining us right now exclusively to talk about this is Gilead Sciences Chairman and CEO Daniel O'Day. Dan, welcome. Thank you very much for coming here. I know that this is something you've been working on for a very long time. I think we've been talking about it for over a year at this point. But this is Gilead's focus to try and bring new drugs and hopefully eventually eradicate this disease. What is this latest injectable? Why is it better?
It's a milestone moment, Becky, in the history of HIV. Yes2Go is potentially the best tool we've had yet, and a number of great tools that could potentially end the epidemic. And the reason why is this is a first of its kind medicine for preventing HIV that's given only twice a year. And in clinical trials, it provided almost 100% protection against HIV, which is really unheard of. So it's one of the most important scientific breakthroughs of our time that could help millions of people. 20 years in the making by Gilead scientists that have really made it their life's work to end HIV.
I mean, there are pills available for this at this point. Why does the injectable work better? I mean, I would almost prefer a pill. What's gone on with that?
Yeah, the issue is that it's difficult to take a pill, particularly when you don't have a disease. In fact, only about 50% of people that are taking pills today, and it's only about a third of the population that is defined by CDC, are compliant on their medicine. And particularly with a virus like this, if you're not compliant, you can have breakthrough cases of HIV. So we needed to create a medicine that kind of met people where they were in terms of prevention. And twice a year meets people where they are.
You go into the doctor's office every 6 months.
Correct.
You get the injection. I didn't realize we still have 30,000 new infections a year in the United States of HIV, 1.3 million worldwide, and that there are 400,000 Americans who are using some of these preventative options right now.
Yeah, it's really, I don't think it's spoken about that much. There's more than, to your point, 700 new cases in this country a week, and about 100 people sadly die of HIV-related illnesses. And importantly, you know, although it's everywhere in the country, there are certain pockets in the country, particularly the South, the southern United States, states like Texas, Louisiana, Georgia, Florida, where the rates are rising disproportionately. Amongst women account for about 20% of new HIV cases in this country, about 50% globally. And Black and Latino men in the South are also more vulnerable. So this is a public health crisis in this country and around the world that Yes2Go, we believe, really can bend the arc of the epidemic moving forward.
You want to give it to everyone, but it's expensive, and you don't know about insurance. What's $28,000?
$28,000 a year.
And when would you? And has it got the 12-year protection? How long? When would it? You know, when would a generic be available?
Yeah, it's got you know, basically the normal patent protection, which is around 12 to 15 years. But let me say something about the price, because I think that's important. We price this roughly in line with other PrEP medicines, branded PrEP medicines, similar to the medicine we were just speaking about. And yet it provides significantly greater benefit for patients. The other thing is that, you know, because of the economic, beyond the human impact, the economic impact of preventing an HIV illness in this country, what can cost as much as $1.1 million lifetime costs. This is highly covered by, PrEP medicines that exist today are highly covered by insurance companies, more than 90%. And Gilead also has programs for those that are uninsured or that need support for their copay. Equally important, Joe, is the fact that we've got programs to help people outside the United States, because if you don't stop this virus everywhere, you don't stop it anywhere. And so we ventured into licensing agreements with 6 generic manufacturers immediately after this news last summer that will provide medicines to more than 120 low and middle income countries. And Gilead's also going to work with global aid organizations in the gap period of time, because it takes about 2 years for those generic companies to get up and running, at no profit to Gilead for about 2 million
The most favored proposals from the Trump administration, would that have any? So you would have generics being made in other countries then, but not here for 12 years. So once again, there'd be really cheap versions other places, but not here, which immediately raises the ire of all the politicians. And
yeah, the most favored nations, first of all, I'd love to talk about that. It's really not geared towards the low and lower middle income, under-resourced countries. It's really geared towards countries that are more economically similar to the United States. So I think that is why we're so focused on getting these generic medicines to countries around the world.
You mentioned that, you know, most of these PrEP, these preventative measures are covered by insurance, but the Supreme Court is watching a case right now that could overturn those requirements. What would happen if that's the case, if the Supreme Court says that insurance companies no longer have to pay for some of these preparatory preventative measures?
Yeah, look, we think that you know, prevention is the best way to help people in this country and economically. So regardless of that court hearing, what we've seen in HIV in the past is that there's broad coverage for these medicines, particularly because of the human and economic impact for the country. So we believe that it's really important that PrEP services, which is preventing HIV services, are available to folks. And that's been the case both through private insurers and government insurers in the past. So we're fully dedicated and committed to making sure that these programs are available. And there are many safety net services for HIV in this country as well, beyond perhaps particular insurers because of the nature of this disease.
Following up, just in terms of who's going to use it, I mean, we go back to the
order filled.
The drugs that are, like Zepbound and other drugs today. People say, okay, those are great drugs, but they're injectables. Why can't we have a pill version of it? Why does this work in the opposite direction?
Yeah, well, I think that what people want is to have something that helps prevent the disease and then they can forget about it. So I think there's a bit of a different motivation here. People don't want to take a daily medicine when they don't have a disease. I think that's different than some of the other medicines that you just articulated. What they want to do is go into a clinic, get protected for 6 months, come back in 6 months' time, get a test to make sure they don't have HIV. And again, with this medicine, it was nearly 100% protective against HIV. So what they want is to have an intervention and then forget about it for 6 months. So that's different than some of the dynamics associated with the other medicines, as you mentioned.
Dan, some activists say that a lot of the HIV prevention work done by the CDC has been largely dismantled by the Trump administration. Is that true?
Well, I think what's really important is federal funding here and state funding has been really important for HIV services in this country. And I spent a lot of time in D.C., as I know a lot of folks that are involved in HIV have. And while there is clear disruption to some of the systems, obviously in HIV in this country and around the world, what I'm seeing is continued support for core services related to diagnosing the disease, linking to care, surveillance of the disease. In fact, the early draft of the president's 26 budget has support for those services and even calls out this kind of twice-a-year prevention as one of the most important things to invest in to end the epidemic. Because at the end of the day, if you really want to have this be economically more self-sustainable in the future, what you need to do is eradicate the disease. And you only eradicate the disease by preventing the disease more effectively than it is today. There's only about 1/3 of people that could benefit from prevention that are on prevention today. And then that you treat everybody that has the disease to a level where they can't transmit the disease. And we have medicines also where as long as you treat the disease and you reduce the viral load to undetectable, you can't transmit the disease. So that's how you kind of dampen an epidemic in this country and around the world.
What do you see more broadly, just in terms of your negotiations in Washington, to
order
try
filled.
and make sure that drug companies can still charge what they need in order to do the innovation here?
Well, I think what's really important here, what I agree with this administration on, is that we have an issue in this country about what people pay for their medicines out of pocket. It's higher than most other aspects of healthcare. And so we have to address that. And we're in dialogue with the administration and with Congress around this. But let's be clear. I mean, this is also the only country in the world where 50% of every dollar, or 50 cents on every dollar, goes to people that don't invent or discover the medicines. So let's start by making sure that system is addressed in the United States, that the discounts that we provide to insurers are passed along to patients.
Are you talking about the pharmacy benefits managers?
I'm talking about, middlemen in the system. So I think it's really important that we address that, while also encouraging other countries, of course, to pay more for innovation. I think both those things can be true. But we have to make sure that we don't disrupt the system that created something like S2F, which is more than 20 years in the making. I mean, 4,000 molecules were screened to find this. It's true innovation made here in America that we have to make sure we continue to support.
Dan, I want to thank you very much for coming in today. Daniel O'Day from Gilead.
I remember the cocktail was 3 different ways of trying to prevent replication of HIV, right?
Yes.
Which one does this do? One specifically, protease?
This is a brand new mechanism.
But it totally prevents the viral replication.
Nearly 100% protective. Well, yeah, it's different than the way other medicines have worked in the past. So instead of stopping the replication, this actually attacks the capsid protein that encapsulates the genetic material of the DNA. So it stops HIV from ever infecting.
Which is, by the way, you have to be HIV negative to be taking this drug. We should be clear on that as well.
Correct.
Once you have a virus, you can't take it. You have to get tested beforehand because you could build up a
That's correct.
Yeah,
that's correct.
That's the word I'm looking for. You build up resistance.
Yeah, exactly.
Dan, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Still to come, NEC Director Kevin Hassett and reaction to the bombing of Iranian nuclear sites. Senator Mark Wayne Mullen is going to join us live from Oklahoma. He's probably happy. Squawk Box will be right back.
With Oklahoma.
Every dog is unique. That's why at the Farmer's Dog, we put your dog at the center of everything we do, with food that's freshly made, packed with nutrients, and pre-portioned. We're making it easy for you to take care of your buddy.
Here at Mint, we love green, and I'm excited to tell you about a deal that will save you a lot of green. We're teaming up with Samsung to give you unlimited premium wireless and the new Galaxy S25 with Galaxy AI for $30 a month. Your friends will be green with envy, and those little green bubbles? Not an issue anymore. So you can like the messages and do a proper group chat with any phone. Video that doesn't look like it was filmed on a brick. Turns out it actually is easy being green. The frog is a liar.
Rather than get rich quick, I believe in get rich slow. The high yield cash account at Public actually had higher rates than anything else I was able to find online. I don't want to be losing sleep over having made risky investments. I needed something stable that could really give me long-term financial benefits. I know my money's working hard for me, and I know I can access it anytime I need it.
University of Maryland Global Campus is a school for real life, one that values the successes you've already achieved. Earn up to 90 undergraduate credits for relevant experience, and get the support you need from your first day to graduation day and beyond. What will your next success be?
At AG1, one of our values is the continuous pursuit of excellence. For over 15 years, we have upgraded AG1, adding ingredients that the research said would support nutrient gaps and gut health. It's time for the next generation of AG1. AG1 Next Gen has launched with upgraded B vitamins and probiotic blends backed by multiple gold standard clinical trials. Our customers deserve the best, and the best just got much better.
Is a Bitcoin ETF the same as owning Bitcoin directly? While Bitcoin ETFs might offer a familiar face, they lack the true ownership and flexibility of directly investing in Bitcoin. With iTrust Capital, you can buy and sell real Bitcoin 24/7 with the tax advantages of an IRA. Real Bitcoin means no middleman, no restricted stock market hours. Choose the path of direct Bitcoin investment with iTrust Capital, because access equals opportunity. Invest in Bitcoin at itrustcapital.com today.
Welcome back to Squawk Box. Take a look at the futures right now. It's still not moving
Order
around
submitted.
that much. Dow off right now about 37 points. The NASDAQ up about 6 points. You look at the S&P 500, close to unch, just slightly down. Meanwhile, oil hitting a 5-month high, though. The overnight session in Asia, traders are tracking potential risks for crude, including possible retaliation from Iran to this weekend's U.S. airstrikes on Iranian nuclear sites. WTI crude at 73.69. Coming up next, we're going to talk to Kevin Hassett, the National Economic Council Director. We'll get the latest on the reconciliation bill that is sitting on Capitol Hill. He'll be at the White House as we head to a break. Check out shares of Trump Media, the company just announcing a $400 million stock buyback, and that stock moving this morning up about 5%. We're coming right back after this.
Order filled.
Order filled. At Corient, wealth management begins and ends with you. We believe the more personal the solution, the more powerful the result. We treat your goals as our own. We never lose focus on the life you want to build. And our experienced advisors design custom-built strategies to help you get there. It's time for a wealth management experience as sophisticated as you are.
Order submitted.
It's time for Corient.
Okay, guys, instead of getting WeatherTech, I saved a few bucks and got some cheap foreign-made floor mats. But they really stink, so put these on.
Really, Gary? Mom, I'm thirsty.
Don't settle for cheap, stinky floor mats. At WeatherTech, we make our floor liners and cargo liners here in America out of pure, non-toxic American materials.
Dad, next time get WeatherTech. They don't stink.
I'm on it. Find out everything we have at WT.com.
He sure knows these parts well.
Folks say the planes whisper to him.
Outlaws in 500 feet. Rerouting.
Making a left!
Innovation changes everything.
Man, he's good.
With one investment, you can access the NASDAQ 100 innovators who are rethinking the world. Before investing, carefully read and consider fund investment objectives, risks, charges, expenses, and more in prospectus at Invesco.com.
Today is coming July 8th through the 11th with great deals on whatever you're getting into next.
What's the move? There you go, King.
Huh. Next.
Following the strike on Iran, President Trump quickly turned his attention back to his economic agenda, writing on Truth Social. Great unity in the Republican Party, perhaps unity like we've never seen before. Now let's get the great, big, beautiful bill done. Our country is doing great. MAGA joining us now, White House National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett. And because of the news over the weekend, Kevin, I guess before we talk about the big, beautiful bill in a vacuum, just talk about it. Is there any connection, relationship, influence, effect that the weekend's events would have? Because I could come up with some if I was really pressed to on the big, beautiful bill and the unity of the Republican Party.
Right. Well, so far, the American actions have been extremely targeted and have not really disrupted global oil markets. If you look at the excess reserves that oil-producing countries have around the world, it's maybe about 3 times as big as total Iranian production. And so there's a lot of room to adjust should we need to. And
Order
right
filled.
now, that's, it's an open question, but it seems like the targeted move by the president has the desired effect of ending the nuclear program without leading to much oil disruption. But again, if the Iranians decide to do something a little more aggressive, then there's a heck of a lot of excess reserve out there.
And I'm not implying that the president didn't have a firm hold on the Republican Party and members in the Senate and the House prior to that. But, we don't know on the ground exactly what happened in Iran yet and how successful. It looks very successful at this point, obviously. But I would almost think that could make the president, I don't know, even have more ability to get wayward members in line on this bill, perhaps.
Well, let's just put it this way, that we spent last week speaking with members of the Senate, members of the House. I'm doing a dinner talk tonight, and I think that we're highly confident that we have the votes to get it through the Senate, through the House, and get it signed by the 4th of July. And highly confident is really based on person-to-person conversations. I know that there's some people that are still holding out for this or for that, but I think the president is highly confident that we're going to pass this bill and we're going to pass it by the 4th of July.
Well, that's right. I guess the devil's in the details. So do you get the SALT people in the House? Do they vote yes even if there's no increase in the SALT cap? Do you get some of the more moderate senators to go with a Medicaid with Medicaid provisions that are stricter, or I don't know, they cut more from Medicaid than the House plan? How do you do that? How do you wrangle all the cats?
Well, what's going to happen? You might recall right at the beginning of this, and I think we might have even announced it right here on Squawk in January. The president said that we're going to follow the Big Six design that he used the last time to get the tax bill, where the Treasury Secretary and I meet with the Majority Leader, the Speaker of the House, and the heads of the two committees, and we meet regularly, a little bit more than every 2 weeks, and have a collegial, off-the-record discussion about what's it going to take to make this bill pass. I think we've built the social network, the relationships between the House and the Senate that we need so that everybody can figure out, okay, let's get something through the Senate that we can pass in the House, and they're negotiating kind of as one body as they do that. And I think that it is the kind of unity I've never seen before in Washington, and a great credit to really the organizational design, the deal-making design of President Trump.
If you had to guess, Kevin, do you think it would be, when it's all said and done, will it take it further, some of the deficit reduction, well, or not reduction, but some of the spending cuts? Would it be more like the Senate version when it's finally done, or more like the House didn't seem to have quite the bite that the Senate is going to have? Who do you need to convince? Who's going to be a tougher sell, the Senate or the House?
We need to be where they all agree, and you're right to cover it that way, Joe, that they're working it out. They're working it out with a really, really fast time frame. I'm expecting that we're going to see the final deal by midweek and perhaps see it voted out of the Senate this week, and then be on path for 4th of July. But yeah, right now we're respecting the legislative process. The president's made clear what his red lines are, like no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and so on, making his tax cuts permanent. But around the edges, of course, the SALT people and a few other people are going to have to, get a little bit of what they want in order to get the votes that we need to pass. But we're very confident that that process is working very collegially, collaboratively, and moving forward quickly.
Hey, Kevin, I wanted to sort of pivot back to the tariff trade discussions that the administration is having with other countries, specifically, though, China, and how you think the situation with Iran impacts that, given that they have been allied or at least partnered economically on that front, and also the Taiwan situation, and how you think this either says something or doesn't say anything about where we stand.
I'm not a foreign policy expert, Aaron, and the thing I can say is that we've got Secretary Bessent and Jameson Greer have been in constant contact with the Chinese, looking at getting the rare earths and the magnets to the people of the U.S. that need them so that we don't have a disruption in the U.S. supply chain. And we've had no communication from the Chinese that suggests that the deal that we had on the table, both in London and Geneva, is off the table. And so it looks like they're spectators right now, and that they're keeping their word as well as they ever do, I suppose. But yes, they're agreeing to the Geneva and London agreement still.
I don't like that other Sorkin, honestly, Tess. I like Andrew much more than the Aaron character.
Kevin and I have actually known each other.
I know. It's easy to forget. It's easy to forget.
It's 90 degrees out here, guys. You can see.
Yeah, I know. I'm not blaming. I just decided this time I'm gonna do it. And
you should do it.
Yeah, because I like it. It's definitely Andrew. Who
Andrew.
Far and wide, career-wise, I think that there's been a.
But look, he's in the West Wing. He's in the West Wing where the real Aaron Sorkin was living.
In his dreams, exactly. Right. That's what I mean. If that's the way the West Wing really was, God help it. No, that's a crazy show. Waller on Friday and talking about inflation and the latest inflation numbers that we've seen, Kevin. We don't know. We're thinking that there's going to be an effect from the tariffs that's still coming at some point, which the Fed is using as the reason, for being wary about inflation and maybe, I think Waller said he thought the neutral rate was 3%. If the neutral rate really was 3%, we're too high. And I'm just wondering, how would you characterize this economic environment that we're in right now? Is there a slowdown in growth coming? Is inflation are we going to see a couple of hot prints when the tariffs finally filter through to these numbers? Or are you with the president? We could go down 100 basis points easily.
Waller and the president are right. If you look at the inflation numbers right now, we've got the lowest inflation by any measure. Forget about core this or services that. Everything's the lowest measure we've seen in over 4 years. I think the growth is at a sweet spot. It's about to really lift off once we pass the big, beautiful bill, but lift off with supply-side stimulus, which is deflationary. And so I think there's no reason at all for the Fed not to cut rates right now. And I would guess that if they see one more month of data, they're going to really have to concede that they've got the rate way too high, as President Trump and as Waller have implied.
I did not know that what White House National Economic Council director, there's a West Wing. You know, Kevin has his own wing.
I know he does.
You showed me 10 days ago, and I was in shock when they have like an intercom to talk to everyone. It's amazing. Has it always been like that, or did it expand when you got in there, Bassett?
No, it's been the same space since Larry Summers and Larry Kudlow and everybody were there. Larry Lindsay had the same office I have. Yeah.
All those Larrys.
All those Larrys.
Yeah. Oh, my God. That's right, 3 of them.
Yeah, my name's not Larry. It causes some confusion.
Exactly. Like Aaron and Andrew.
there we go. Yep.
It's 90 degrees. We do have to cut it.
Out there.
We do have to
by the way, it's hotter here.
And he's in a suit.
And he's in a suit.
That's right.
Yeah. Don't take that jacket off later.
Just don't mix me up with that other Joe, that other morning Joe either.
Oh yeah, that would be awful.
the Johnny come lately morning Joe. Thank you, Kevin. See you later.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Up next, Oklahoma
Order
Senator
filled.
Mark
Order
Williams.
filled.
As we head to break, here's a check on Novo
Order
Nordisk.
submitted.
And
Order filled.
Order filled. The weirdest company. Is it a bald company, an ED company? What is it? And where are the herds? What do they do for the herds? Baldness? I think they do. Well, I don't. You know what? Let's not talk about it. Terminating its collaboration, Novo is with him and hers. And
Novo was the one who said no more.
And for fat people, so fat, bald, impotent people.
Right up your alley.
Yeah, right up my alley. I will no longer offer access to its weight loss. Not anymore, damn it.
You walked right in.
Yeah, I did. We'll be right back.
I'ma kick back when you fake like that. Would you let me go?
Introducing the new Infiniti QX60. True luxury refuses to follow. It leads.
I'ma kick back when you fake like that. Head out of the game, I don't play that fact.
The unmistakable 2026 Infiniti QX60. Assured Guarantees bond insurance was protecting investors in municipal green bonds before they were even called green bonds. Assured Guarantee, a stronger bond.
At Capital Group, we take care when crafting our active ETFs so they can make a difference at the core of a portfolio. Because we don't fit molds, we prefer to cast originals. Capital Group, actively different active ETFs.
At PGIM, finding opportunity in fixed income today helps secure tomorrow. Our time-tested fixed income suite, backed by over 145 years of risk experience, helps investors meet their goals. PGIM Investments, shaping tomorrow today.
Every shot is an opportunity, and success requires.
All right, let's see.
Practice smarter. The insights to gain an edge, and the data to inform our strategy. Taking our games from math to BIF. KPMG Performance Insights are transforming the game for the entire LPGA Tour.
I'll get 2 winners, okay? I'm gonna spin the first one.
It's the only technology-independent AI-driven platform built by security operators for security operators.
No way. Let me pick the second winner. No, this is a $25 giveaway. So, got 2 winners.
Make it quick.
Back to trading.
Welcome back to Squawk. For the latest on the bombing of Iranian nuclear sites, we are joined by Senator Mark Wayne Mullen, a member of the Armed Services Committee. Good morning to you.
Morning, Andrew.
Let's just get your reaction to what took place over the weekend, and also your reaction to some of your colleagues in Washington, some whom seem very happy about this and some who do not.
Well, one thing you'll know is senators have a strong opinion about no matter what takes place up here. The truth is, President Trump is leading through strength. You can achieve peace through strength as long as you use it in the right way. We're not at war with Iran. What we are trying to do is make sure we can have peace. You cannot trust a regime that is the world sponsor of terror, who has been chanting for 40 years death to America, who has killed over 1,000 American citizens or service members over the last 40 years, either through proxy or direct. And you cannot have peace if they achieve a nuclear weapon. You can have peace with them if they can don't have a nuclear program. And so what President Trump has done here is he's made an opportunity for us maybe to be able to negotiate peace with them if the regime chooses so. But I can't express this enough, Andrew. We are not at war with the Iranian people. In fact, the people of Iran, I think we have a very good relationship. It's the regime led by the Ayatollah that has taken Iran in the wrong direction.
Are you calling for regime change? Because obviously there's been a lot of mixed messages over the weekend about this regime change issue.
No, absolutely not, Andrew. That is up to the Iranian people. We made an opportunity for the Iranian people to choose. If they choose to have a regime change, that'll be up to them, not us. That we're simply trying to end their ability to ever have a nuclear weapon, full stop.
In terms of the big question, which I think today is, did we get it all? What have we really done here? And how are we going to figure that out? What do you understand the case to be?
Well, we have good eyes on in the situation. Our allies that are operating in the region, our ICs that are operating in the region, our intelligence community, I hate to use acronyms, please correct me if I ever do that. We have very good eyes on where we haven't had in the past. With the Biden administration, unfortunately, our allies did not trust the ICs that they were having to work with. They weren't doing really well on sharing the intelligence information, which is why that drastically changed over the last 3 months. We have a very good report that we have severely damaged, if not completely destroyed, their ability to have a nuclear weapon anytime soon. I mean, anything can be rebuilt, right? And they can rebuild it in secrecy, but we will be able to now, the way we've been able to penetrate the Iranian regime with the amount of information we're getting out, we have a really good handle on what we've destroyed and what their capability is to bring it back.
What is your sense of the MAGA movement right now, and how either united or not it is? Obviously, we saw a fissure, if you will, in sort of the Tucker Carlson, Steve Bannon wing of things last week.
Well, let me say the MAGA movement is President Trump. And so if you're not with President Trump, you're not part of the MAGA movement. Tucker Carlson, I don't have a relationship with him. I've never had a conversation with him. Don't really agree with him that much. Steve Bannon, same thing. I've never had a conversation with him. So I don't know if he's a good guy, bad guy. I don't want to talk bad about either one of them. but the MAGA movement belongs to President Trump. He created the MAGA movement. He's the one that's leading from the front. He's the one that's united the Republican Party. He's the one that brought us in to control Congress and control the White House and control the government, because the American people believed in President Trump's vision for America, on making America great, not Steve Bannon or Tucker Carlson's movement.
If, in fact, there is still some kind of nuclear material in Iran, do you think it's incumbent upon the United States to continue to press and potentially militarily with more bombs? Is that something you think that needs to be left to Israel or others? What do you think the U.S. should do if we learn, in fact, even though we've clearly, I imagine, set back their efforts a long way, but if we find that they do still have material and there's some evidence that they were moving material prior to this bombing, what should the U.S. be doing?
Well, Andrew, they are claiming that they moved some material. Our intelligence report says they didn't. In fact, we actually believe they stored more of it in Fordow because they believed Fordow was impenetrable. They thought that it was a safe place to be. We've proven that we have technology better than any place in the world. We have the ability to destroy things that people think were undestroyable. And so we think we did a really good job. However, if we find out that we didn't, we will be working with our allies to finish the job, or we will finish the job. We have made it very clear, President Trump has made it very clear for 10 years, we will not allow Iran, the world sponsor of terror, to have a nuclear weapon any way whatsoever. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to insert troops. That means that we can do this through the air and work with our allies to finish the job if the job isn't finished. And I believe that we may have to work with Israel to continue to maybe get rid of some of their stockpiles as things come up. But I believe we did a really good job the other night to eliminating all we knew about at the time.
Senator, I want to thank you for joining us this morning. It's always good to see you, and we look forward to talking to you again very, very soon. You bet. We're going to be back after this with a quick check on the markets.
Hi, I'm Jay Jackson. For almost 20 years, Abacus Life has been purchasing life insurance policies from seniors. And in just seconds, you can use the free calculator at abacuspays.com to learn what your policy might be worth.
For many of my
Order
clients,
filled.
selling their life insurance
Order
to Abacus
submitted.
was right for them and their estate plan.
Don't sell or lapse your policy without going to abacuspays.com first. There are no fees and no obligations. Get the real value from your life insurance when you need it with Abacus.
Oh, so you corporate types are rock stars?
Well, that's as ridiculous as rock stars being corporate types.
Workday's AI agents are making you all rock stars.
Sorry, habit. Proceed.
So that's a slide. Any questions?
And now with Workday, we can manage our people and AI agents. I'm sorry. Who are they?
Oh, interns.
We're interns.
Good night!
I'll see you tomorrow.
Opportunities can be hard to find, like catching lightning in a bottle. In uncertain times, it's tempting to retreat or simply wait and see. At CME Group, we empower those who act. We deliver tools to help manage risk and capture opportunities in every market climate, across every major asset class,
Order
to seize
canceled.
each possibility at precisely the right moment. CME Group, opportunity is everywhere.
Breaking earnings news. FedEx, General Mills, Micron, Nike. Market reaction. Expert analysis. Strategies for your portfolio. This week on CNBC and streaming on CNBC Plus.
Superhero moment goes sideways. Pumpkin Now, the urgent pay service from Pumpkin Pet Insurance, can pay you for eligible care before you pay the vet. Ask your vet about Pumpkin or visit pumpkin.care and see Superman, only in theaters July 11th.
At Chomps, we create snacks for people who are hungry to get the most out of life, who only accept the highest quality. Because real life demands real ingredients. We make snacks that don't take shortcuts, with grass-fed and finished beef, 0 sugar, and up to 12 grams of protein. When life challenges you, take bigger bites. Chomps, take bigger bites. Learn more at chomps.com.
So which would you recommend?
Do you like brown?
Yeah, some things are just better at home. With Empire's Home Floor Advantage, you can compare samples in your own space.
Call or visit EmpireToday.com and get the home floor advantage.
Order filled. Empire.
All right, let's get a final check on the markets this morning. Things are relatively calm, not the reaction you might have expected, but participants really waiting to see what happens next. Right now, the Dow futures are up by just over 30 points, S&P futures up by close to 10, and the NASDAQ indicated up by just over 40 points. Treasury yields have been slightly higher this morning. Actually, no, at this point they're lower. The 10-year's at 4.34, the 2-year is at 3.88, and then if you're watching oil prices, we did see a shock in oil prices, spiking in the overnight trading, but those gains have been given back. At this point, WTI is actually down by 13 cents to 73.71. Brent is down by 10 cents to 76.93 a barrel. Crypto prices also have been pretty muted on this. 101,687 is the last tick for that. The dollar has been slightly higher, or at least it was earlier this morning, still there, up by about a half a percentage point. And then you have gold prices that right now are off by about $10, $3,375 an ounce.
But it was pointed out by someone, it was up 0.3% over the weekend. So
well, it's
got that going for it.
Down 0.3% this morning.
Nice.
That does it for us today. Make sure you join us tomorrow. Squawk on the Street begins right now.
Good Monday morning. Welcome to Squawk on the Street. I'm Carl Quintanilla. Jim Cramer is back at Post 9 along with David Faber here at the New York Stock Exchange. Equity futures and oil not far from the flat line as the U.S. joins Israel in striking Iranian nuclear sites on Saturday. One more part of a complicated picture this week with the NATO summit, PCE, and Chair Powell on the Hill. Our roadmap begins with futures pretty calm as investors keep an eye on oil and Iran's response to the U.S. bombing of its nuclear sites.
Plus, Tesla is launching its robo-taxis in Austin, Texas. How Wall Street is reacting to that big rollout. And America's biggest cement supplier is making its market debut today. It's going to have a $30 billion market cap. It's a spinoff of Holcim. We're going to speak exclusively with the CEO of a company called Amrise.
That's terrific. It's big.
Yeah.
Big company.
Yeah, big.
Let's begin, though, with the markets digesting the developments surrounding the U.S. military strikes on Iran over the weekend, Jim. A lot of discussion this morning about maybe limited options on the Iranian side going into this week.
I think that's the way to put it. I think that we're all kind of shocked that they have almost no defenses. We know that they were the arsenal of theocracy. We knew, it turns out, boy, were they loaded for bear.
Order filled.
But when you
Order
start running
submitted.
low and we can come over and bomb at will, it becomes very difficult for them to even talk about how they can close the Straits of Hormuz. Maybe they can close it for a little bit. I mean, David, what you can tell us is that, I'd like to compare this to what would happen if China
Order
did
canceled.
something where it was strategic.
Yeah.
This is tactical. They can do something for a couple of days. And we don't know what they have in terms of uranium that we haven't found. But this country, to say that it's on the ropes is a little ridiculous. But the idea of having regime change, I don't think anyone wants that. Because it has to be from internal. Because it just doesn't work when our country goes in anywhere.
No, it hasn't. And certainly there's a lot of concern given the history, whether it's Iraq or Libya, both of which are in that region, to your point. And obviously there are still key questions here in terms of the enriched uranium, not to the level needed for a bomb, but close enough that may not have been actually at the site that was bombed and potentially degraded, if not obliterated, to use the words of the president, Carl. But certainly some questions here as we begin, although a very muted response in the market overall, and particularly still with that risk at least, though many people will tell you why that will not happen, of the Straits of Hormuz and what the Iranians may choose to do there or try to do.
Right. There are a couple reports of a couple tankers maybe doing a U-turn out of the Strait, but China buys, it's the #1 buyer of Iranian oil, a couple million barrels a day. They wouldn't want to do any self-harm to arguably their strongest ally right now.
Right, and let's
Order
just put it
submitted.
out there. This is very bullish for American producers that need this market, and they actually have the ability. I got Rusty Brazil in tonight from RBN, but he's going to say that they have the ability to be able to take some market share here, and I know that's to talk about that seems sweet. Are you kidding me? That's really something I'm
Order
focused on.
filled.
But yes, I mean, if you believe the U.S. has plenty of oil, that's why I don't think that there's that much pressure on the futures. But, I come back after being a week away, and what happens? I want to see, well, what are the things that could be hurt? Well, no, I see four guys raising numbers for Kroger. I see Bank of New York, I'm just going to talk about with David, possibly merging with Northern Trust. I see raising numbers Darden, which is a big restaurant chain. I see AMD upgraded, but there's nothing which just says this is going to cast a pall on the following companies. So I want very much to find out where the Achilles heel is to the market, but it's not stablecoin, it's not mergers, it's not anything, because this is not as relevant to our markets as it might have been at one time.
No, I know. Although I mean, if I had said to you at any point in the last few years, okay, the U.S. is going to go that option that has been discussed, and the presidents previous to Trump, including Trump himself, the first time said no way.
Right.
Would you have expected this kind of a market response?
I think that the success of it kind of shocked people. I think that there was enough misdirection play that people didn't think that anything would happen. By the way, Saturday, at 6 o'clock? You've got this, if it's successful, you got a full day to think about it. Had it happened during market hours, I think people would have said, well, I got to get out. That didn't happen.
Right. Of course, the Israelis have already done so much damage to Hamas and Hezbollah, and we've done some work on the Houthis. The proxies are weak. There is sort of, people, a lot of notes this morning looking at risks. At some point to cyber attacks as a possibility, attacks on the grid, attacks on maybe some U.S. assets in the Middle East.
Right. Well, I just think that the big threat was attacks that could lead to nuclear. Take nuclear off the table to just a conventional. If they're a conventional weapons country, well, they're barely a country.
With fewer missile launchers by the day.
Yeah, they've been severely degraded by the endless bombing of the Israeli Air Force, which controls the skies. That said, they do have cyber capability in Iran. Again, we don't want to make light of the fact that there are still options they have, asymmetric options.
Right.
And it's unclear what they're doing or what their leadership is really planning, or where, in fact, the Ayatollah even is in terms of, and how easily he can even be communicated with, given they seem to be hiding him.
Well, it does seem to me that the one thing that the wild card is, will there be regime change, which we can't speculate on, but the one thing we do know is that there could be even harder liners. I just don't know what they can do. Look, they lost the proxies. I mean, this was a country that very to me, represented an iron curtain of theocracy like the Soviet Union, with countries where you had a Poland, where you had a Romania, where you had a Hungary. They're all gone. And now you've got the Soviet Union, which then dissolves into Russia and other countries. Could that happen here? I think that the Communist Party had a hold on Russia that turned out to be tenuous. Do the mules have a hold on Iran that turns out to be tenuous? I don't think so. I think that it's religion versus ethos.
Right. Although that sort of explains the president's post last night, MIGA, not MAGA, MIGA, where he said, why wouldn't there be regime change if you have the Ayatollahs so weakened?
Well, I just don't, look, I think that these countries are, they don't have the ability to rebel. I mean, I remember what you always used to hear before the Pope got involved and really interceded, say, making Poland leave the orb of the Soviet Union. Who's got the guns? Whoever has the guns wins. They don't lay down the guns.
That's true. And
Order
to the extent
submitted.
there's any real political opposition and its ability to actually take over and present some sort of a plan to actually run the country, that becomes an issue as well.
Right.
All that said, back to the market, Jim. I mean, again, you were gone for more than a week, actually.
Well, I had that extra 2 days.
Yeah, and you mentioned many of the positives out there. You didn't mention even IPOs as well, which have been incredibly strong. I mean, it's hard to come in a day where we don't take a look at Circle. Have you seen that one? Or CoreWeave, which you were dead right on. Real quick.
Well, look, we just say that this market wants equity. I mean, we have a deal this morning. I know it's small, but not in the world of retail. Quantum computing, 14 million shares at $14.25. We're now even getting companies that don't have revenue. Well, they have 400,000 revenue. Being able to raise money. At the same time, we have these companies that are stuck. To me, Alphabet is stuck. Yes, okay. NVIDIA is stuck, 143. We get that upgrade of AMD. Apple is stuck. No one seems to know what they do. When people are saying, are they going to buy Perplexity? Are they just going to keep buying back stock? That's obviously done nothing. The companies that had been the beacons, with the exception of Microsoft, are regarded as being companies you don't want to touch because there's so many other opportunities.
That's interesting because in your absence, we did get some revised TAM forecasts out of Marvell, for example.
I thought that Matt Murphy did a great job, but the previous quarter did nothing to make people excited. I do think that the data center itself seems a little played out. But what's doing better is conventional. That's one of the reasons why Micron has been just on an incredible parabolic tear. They report on the 25th. If Sanjay Mehrotra does something good to say, people are going to say, look, let's just go back to the way it was.
What does that mean?
Well, high bandwidth, but let's go with the derivative plays. Let's go with AMD with its next generation the inference chip. Let's go with Micron because high bandwidth memory finally it's coming to its own. I don't think, David, that I'm not saying that it's sunset Novo. I mean sunset for NVIDIA. I'm watching Novo sunset.
Freud. Yeah,
I'm watching Novo sunset.
Novo's an interesting story.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that a bit later.
But NVIDIA, it tried to get through 145. There are people in this stock who literally don't know what it does. But boy, they know that it's run down.
Meanwhile, you're forgetting AMD last week. I sat here there was a day the stock was up almost 10%. I was telling people, well, there's rumors about maybe they got a good GPU order from AWS.
Yes.
They obviously did set out a roadmap the week previous. They get an upgrade today at that company.
MI400.
But that thing came to life. Look at that move.
I think this is great. That's what Ben Wright just at Melius. Look, Lisa Su would have told you, CEO of AMD, that she was not on her game versus what Jensen had, but now it's different. She's got something that's great. For instance, everybody wants to have something that can compete against Jensen. Well, because Jensen's so powerful. So there'll be a lot of companies that are always nipping. I still come back and say we got to get this. Not that I'm on Jensen's side, but the only way to get NVIDIA really going is it's got to break through 145. It's not a technician's look at it. But how many times can it be repelled?
Right. I mean, the AMD call out of Melius is about inference, and that's playing to AMD's strength. But I couldn't help but notice this journal piece about the robots that are unloading trucks at DHL at twice the rate of a human over the course of an hour.
Well, look, Fred Smith, who we'll talk about later, who is one of the greatest people ever in business, was someone who just told me, Jim, you got to get on the case. We are using robots in New England. This is Fred Smith. This is a guy who's been around for a long time, and they're just better than humans in terms of their productivity, in terms of their safety. And I said, why don't you talk about it? He goes, what's to talk about? It's the future.
No, in these kinds of roles, the robots are already a real alternative.
Right.
Again, coming off the assembly line at some point years from now and being able to do any number of tasks or anything that is asked of them, I think is going to be longer than perhaps many people anticipate.
Why do you say that?
Because
when we know
the training required for them at this point. Now, even Musk admits you're going to have some sort of a leap, which I think he expects, in order to meet this target of having 1 million robots coming off Tesla's assembly lines by 2030.
But
it's one thing to have them unloading a truck. It's another thing to say, hey, go unload the dishwasher. Hey, go walk the dog. They need to be trained.
They can make beds. They can clean rooms, hospital rooms.
Training is... My understanding is the training is more than you might think in terms of that.
I agree with you, but I am saying that it's what they're doing. I mean, they're not watching the show, the robots. They're figuring out how to make the bed. Hey, they do hospital corners, man. Can you do hospital corners? They got the edge on you, partner.
I do know how to do a hospital corner.
Flip a quarter?
I do remember how to do a hospital corner.
You do?
Flip it up, and then you pick it in.
Maybe you still have the edge on the robots before it goes away.
Jim is right, though. The business world is remembering FedEx founder Fred Smith today, who died yesterday at the age of 80. As a student at Yale in the 1960s, you may know, he conceived the idea for an air-to-ground system that would ensure overnight delivery. He launched FedEx in '73, 14 jets, and as CEO went on to build the company into a global giant. Smith served in the Marines, 2 tours of duty in Vietnam. In a memo to staff, CEO Raj Subramanian said, quote, Fred was more than just the pioneer of an industry and the founder of our great company. He was a mentor to many and a source of inspiration to all. President George W. Bush over the weekend, Jim, one of the finest Americans of our generation, he said.
Oh, God, Fred Smith was amazing. 2 tours in Vietnam. The second time he comes back, he was Silver Star winner as in the Marines. Second time he came back because he was unhappy with the first tour. Literally, he just felt that the Marines, that the Defense Department, that the highest level Pentagon did not do a good job and wanted to do something to contribute better. I got to know Fred pretty well went to Super Bowl together. Had a terrific time, by the way. His son, offensive coordinator for the Steelers. We went to the Steelers game, saw him, and he's just. There's a couple of guys. It's David Trone on the far right, and that's Arthur Smith, the top tall guy who's the offensive coordinator. I'm the shortest guy in the room, David. That's not unusual. But Fred, I mean, I said, hey, Fred, my dad, Sergeant, he says, well, I'll look him up at the American Battle Monuments. He comes back and says, yeah, Dad did really well. You know, I told him about my dad's battlefield promotion. He goes, oh, yeah, he was in Lady Golf. I mean, the guy knew everything. He knew everything, and he was fun. He was great. But I think that he was the original person to say, you know what, I got a dream, and I'm going to do it. You know, we have all these guys in Silicon Valley. Well, I came up with something. This guy came up with something monstrous.
He changed the whole economy.
Yeah.
Yeah, positively has to be there, get there overnight, right?
By the way, to introduce him, his daughter is a great filmmaker. I don't know. This guy,
he was, by the way, he was CEO until just 3 years ago.
Yeah, executive chairman.
Yeah. Well, no, but he stepped down as CEO only a few years ago.
And he wanted Raj. Raj has done an amazing job. They report this week. I would tell you that everybody who met him loved him. He was like one of the most lovable figures I've ever met. And by the way, low key. I had someone meet him and said, listen, what do you do? I work at FedEx. And, you know, so what kind of magic? He goes, no, I started. I was executive. This actually happened in October. I started. And he goes, what? You started FedEx? He goes, yeah. I mean, I just started. I mean, you never got a level. This man's humility was such that you just didn't know who he was.
Bush wrote that he offered Smith defense secretary 2 times.
I thought that was very interesting. Yeah.
And he said no because of his devotion to his family, is what the president.
Oh my God! You know, he had to leave, wanted to be with his wife, missed the game actually, because we would brunch with him before the game. So listen, I got to go be with my wife, but I don't know. This guy was something special. You know, you meet these guys, CEOs, and my wife's not involved in the business world, and I just said, listen, I want you to meet my wife. I never did that. Yeah, I'm like, why? And the answer was, because this guy was the most special guy I've ever met in business. I said, why don't you meet my wife? My wife says, like, hey, that guy's pretty cool. What's he do? No one ever knew what he did because he never let you know. Because he was not about that. You know, a lot of these guys come in and say, like, hey, my name is so-and-so. I am CEO of so-and-so. And you want to say, oh, am I supposed to be impressed? This guy's like, I work at FedEx. Oh, how you doing? Have fun.
Our thoughts are with the Smith family. Fred Smith was 80 years old.
At Morgan Stanley, old school hard work meets bold new thinking. Partnering to unlock new ideas, to create new legacies, to transform a company, industry, economy, generation. Because grit and vision, working in lockstep, puts you on the path to your full potential. Old school grit, new world ideas. Morgan Stanley.
For plant-based, healthy blood pressure support, there's one brand at GNC that stands above the rest. It's Superbeats by Human. Discover why more cardiologists recommend Superbeats for heart health support than any other beet brand at livehuman.com.
We are going to write the future of healthcare, one where care is more personalized, more accessible, and much lower cost. This IPO is an important moment, but it is still just the beginning of our story.
Discovering innovation today helps drive growth tomorrow. As a leading global asset manager, PGIM has established a track record of helping investors capitalize on growth opportunities. PGIM Investments, shaping tomorrow today.
Introducing CNBC Plus, a new streaming platform from the #1 source in business news. On-the-go access to international financial markets, business news, and analysis as it happens. Bell-to-bell global live stream, CNBC Plus real-time data, and full episodes of CNBC's Business Day lineup on demand. CNBC Plus. Access any market, anytime, anywhere. Start streaming at cnbc.com/plus.
I am Polestar 3.
I am pure electric performance. From the straightaways to the hairpin turns, I am designed to be driven. The drive of tomorrow. I am Polestar 3. Enjoy tariff-free pricing on Polestar 3, now through June 30th.
Everyone's talking about how to get more protein in their diet. We'll stop talking and head to Subway for tons of delicious protein-packed footlongs, like the Ultimate BMT, loaded with 54 grams of protein, or the All-Pro Sweet Onion Chicken Teriyaki, coming in at 58 grams of protein, all on irresistible fresh-baked bread. And now, Subway MVP Rewards members can buy any footlong in the app and get another for just $1. Get all the protein you crave at a price you can't resist. Order now on the Subway app.
We mentioned in the A block, rather than geopolitics, pre-markets being driven to some degree by some sell-side calls. DoorDash gets up over at Rayjade, a strong buy from Outperform, and we mentioned the AMD upgrade over at Melius as Ben Reitzes goes to buy, saying inferencing is beginning to surge. We'll get Kramer's Mad Dash and count down to the opening bell in just a minute.
Hey, Mitch. How's the financial freakout going?
I got a financial professional now.
So we're not going to come to life every night and console you?
Nope.
Oh, thank goodness.
Not worrying all night about your finances? The feeling is Mass Mutual.
Pedro's parents planned for adventure, but they didn't plan for him to make a new best friend. You were made to get more than you bargained for. We were made to help you save on packages. Expedia, made to travel.
Do you have a life insurance policy you no longer need? Now you can sell your policy, even a term policy, for an immediate cash payment. Call Coventry Direct to learn more.
We thought we had planned carefully for our retirement.
But we quickly realized we needed a way to supplement our income.
Our friends sold their policy to help pay their medical bills. And that got me thinking. Maybe selling our policy could help with our retirement.
I was skeptical, so I did some research and called Coventry Direct. They explained life insurance is a valuable asset that can be sold.
We learned we could sell all of our policy or keep part of it with no future payments. Who knew? We sold our policy. Now we can relax and enjoy our retirement as we had planned.
If you have $100,000 or more of life insurance, you may qualify to sell your policy. Don't cancel or let your policy lapse without finding out what it's worth. Visit CoventryDirect.com to find out if your policy qualifies, or call 1-800-514-7800. Coventry Direct, redefining insurance.
Goldilocks needs a place of her own, and fast. Thankfully, she's on Redfin. They update their listings every 2 minutes. And with so many options, she's bound to find exactly what she wants.
This one's just right.
Is she moving?
Yes.
Oh, it's happening. It is happening.
Bigger isn't always better. Smaller AI models can deliver the right results and help reduce AI costs up to 90%. Be AI built for business. IBM.
Every day, I'm checking the markets throughout the trading session, working the phones, talking to sources to share insights, information, and all of the details that you need to make money.
Closing bell overtime for Easter and streaming on CNBC+.
All right, let's get to it. Haven't had a mad dash in a little bit. Of course, it's on Monday morning. We've got an opening bell coming up in a few. M&A, not that big a part of this market at this point. We will talk about Bank of New York's interest in Northern Trust a bit later, but we have a deal this morning.
Yes, and first I want to say I miss you and Carl very much, and where I went, people just truly love what we do, love what you do, what Carl does. Just first 20 minutes, I heard over and over. First 20 minutes. Yeah, I want to say, how about the what we do with the stock trading?
Are you agreeing?
David, there was a time when this.
That's good. Me too. Well, most of it. I think we're gonna pull back though. I want to get SPY puts at open if we pump.
on the show.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I'm gonna get.
This company,
Hope we get new all-time high so I can get some puts. September puts.
and CNN's wholesale may not be able to even get away with this. I don't even think it matters anymore. I don't think the authorities are going to look at this thing and say, you know what, we can't have this deal done. I think it would have been an FTC block.
I mean, there is, of course, we came into this year with the expectation that the regulatory world would be very different and that we would see just an avalanche of deals. It hasn't happened. Not as much because of the regulatory concerns as so many other concerns that we've talked about endlessly here on CNBC, uncertainty being the key word. That said, there are certain areas where you probably think there is going to be regulatory scrutiny. Big tech still, not for a deal like this, perhaps, though.
But this is one of the things that happened.
I didn't expect us to pump 400 points overnight. That was crazy.
Like this. Good growth, making a lot of money, 5% yield, and the marketplace didn't want it. So you know what?
Yeah, I think right before I went to bed, I shorted 3NQ on my ETF, 100K, thinking it's gonna dump overnight. Woke up and it's blown. NQ, 3NQ. It was a YOLO. Yeah, I thought 810 was good because we pumped like 300 points before that. But now it went up another 100 points. Oh, $26 gone. Yeah, not too bad. The sell was good. I'll get it again next time.
For me, Squawk Box is breakfast with the most interesting
Yeah,
people.
5 minutes.
It's a privilege to get to talk to them every day. It's more entertaining than any other morning show, but you might get some useful information. Squawk Box, weekdays 6 a.m. Eastern, and streaming on.
Are you on day 5 of My Funny Futures or are you on day 4?
Sideways. Pumpkin
Oh.
service from Pumpkin Pet Insurance can pay you for eligible care before you pay the vet.
Gotcha.
Pumpkin or visit pumpkin.care.
No one's there. Just be careful with the news now. We have PMI coming out. Yeah, 15 minutes. Oh no. Trade Five's good. Not Trade Five, but My Funny. Is Trump speaking today or no? Yeah. Looks like 3 minutes overbought again, so it might drop a little bit. Ooh. 1 p.m. Eastern time, right? Okay, so it's lunchtime. 3 minutes.
At AG1, one of our values is the continuous pursuit of excellence. For over 15 years, we have upgraded AG1, adding ingredients that the research said would support nutrient gaps and gut health. It's time for the next generation of AG1. AG1 Next Gen has launched with upgraded B vitamins and probiotic blends backed by multiple gold standard clinical trials. Our customers deserve the best, and the best just got much better.
Oh wow, that's a nice drop. That was quick too. Yeah.
So you can hire easier. Visit Indeed.com/hire. Generations to build strong portfolios that deliver lasting legacies, to innovate and adapt for what's just around the corner. Because after 125 years of yesterdays, Nuveen knows your ultimate stakeholder is tomorrow. Nuveen, invest like the future is watching.
It came back up. Wow.
The opening bell is brought to you by Nuveen.
I'm gonna wait.
Invest like the future is watching.
Couple of minutes to the opening bell. We're going to check on some things other than the pre-market, Jim. Oil Gold, crypto had a little bit of loss after falling below 100K.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to figure out exactly how crypto being viewed maybe as the ultimate hedge, and we didn't need the hedge, so therefore crypto goes down. Gold, I still think has come into its own. I want to own gold very badly. I have no physical gold. I have no Bitcoin, full disclosure. But I think what's really kind of struck people, Carlos, is that if you 5 minutes before the bomb. If you had told people, listen, they're going to bomb, the people I was surrounded with, and they were all of the professional nature, said down 5%, down 8%. No one thought that maybe the axis of evil is now in past tense. And I think that is something that we're going to get used to. The axis of evil is indeed in past tense.
Yeah, take a look at some of the European defense names. Now, some of that might be
might be a,
profit taking. We're going to get NATO summit this
looks like
week.
a
We'll
drop
talk about
coming.
some defense spending, but some get back there too.
Yeah, look, David, you know, I don't know the number of missiles they.
Yeah, because the 3 minutes look like it's curving down now. We'll see.
Launchers. The idea that you get the B-2 strike with no resistance.
You have
Defense for a country that had prided itself as being.
there we go. Bot's still long. I think it was up 30 points at most. We lose 800, we can drop more. Oh my God, so much shit.
Last couple of days.
There's going to be, we're going to go back to the discussion of the. I think it's very hard to go back to discussion of Fed without remembering how little the president is supposed to be in social media comments. Just to point out that the man has been a valued public servant.
Dang, that's a drop. Dang, I should have shorted.
But David, the word disgrace is kind of it doesn't go. No one says they want disgrace.
No. I guess not. I guess we're at this point, he's been doing it so long, it doesn't really generate a lot of response.
Bot will not short yet.
But at the same time, is there a level where the ridicule seems
in Trump land, it's over and over and over again. That's what you do.
So Jay Powell, who is a distinguished American, yes, I think we all agree with that. It can be a free fire zone of name calling.
Yes. I mean, you know that to be the case because it continues all the time.
Well,
the president starts thinking about the fact
Man,
that
good shit, Kite.
rates, and what that would mean overall for the economy.
Man, it's still dropping.
Ooh.
There we go. Got 40 points on those. Let's go.
The fact that it would be reduced were there to be lower rates, at least potentially. Of course, Carl, you pointed out many times.
And I'm out. All flat.
You know, short end, yeah. Well, I'm not going to shock people by saying, we got to get that mortgage rate down.
Nice shit.
So
no, you see, I don't think you can badmouth.
Now I want to keep shorting.
I need to call him.
Put my size down.
I do think that there is the mortgage rates
There we
are
go.
too high.
There we go, baby. Let's go.
I think that I wish that were
Yeah.
in the hands of the
2.
Fed.
Yeah.
It's the long end. You don't hear
Order submitted.
You don't hear Trump attacking
I need $20 more on my funny futures and I'll get my fifth day and get my payout, but I need a pump now.
if you recall, in the early days there after Liberation Day. When the bond market said,
Yeah.
no.
I got out too early too, man. It's gonna wait. That was a nice drop.
The Middle East, Jim, does complicate some domestic policies, whether that's getting this bill signed by July 4th, maybe the extension regarding.
Oh yeah, we have the news coming up.
Deals of note going into July 9th.
What this weekend is saying is, yeah, it could be important off. Could the Strait River movies be closed? Yeah, so therefore take up numbers for the for Diamondback. I mean, we're back in that situation where something happens and now we start trying to figure out how to make money off it.
But to your point, Carl, we thought Japan was close. In fact,
Yep.
there had been certainly plenty of
Nah, it looks like it's gonna go down more. Even in 15 minutes, it's gone down.
It wasn't. It did close by
Yeah, so long term looks like it's going down. So that pump is off fake.
Strangest thing, they didn't even have that in the press release. They didn't even refer to it as though it was an actual closed book transaction. But it was. Only because Japan doesn't seem to be any closer. In fact, the reporting recently is that they've hit sort of an impasse.
Yeah, they continue. They want these auto tariffs off. They don't want any.
Yeah, but people forget that July
Yeah.
9th, they're going to be.
Hopefully the PMI will pump it up a little bit.
We're in Southern Florida tomatoes, which apparently bounced from the drop from the Empire State Building, so they bounced. But I will tell you that Costco, for position for my Chapel Trust, they're tomatoes from Mexico, and the price for tomatoes is going to go up very big. Now, David, I'm not sure where you are on tomatoes.
I like tomatoes. I really like tomato sauce.
I'll bring you some like
There are many things associated with tomatoes.
Have you had my sauce? Jim's
You
not
know,
there?
somehow it's never made it to my doorstep.
All right, well, that I
Yeah, you gotta trade TPT next, man. It's so nice getting daily payouts, even if it's small. Unlock. No. So the trick is when I'm over the buffer. So every time I'll make like $30, $50, I'll just withdraw and send it to my wallet. But you have to have over $250 to actually send it to the bank without a fee. If not, it's like a $50 fee.
But here would be a larger deal if it were to come to fruition.
No. So my 25K is 1,500 is the buffer, but every time over the buffer, I just send whatever profit I have to the wallet. And then once your wallet has $250 or more, you can send it to the bank for free. Yeah. So that's what I do. Just send it in to protect myself in case I tilt and blow. Bought one short and it just pumped. Yeah, I've been doing it for like what, last 7 days. I got over $600 now. Yeah, I got $80 now for tomorrow. Wow, that's a big pump. What the fuck? That bot just got wrecked. I went short with the bot too at 814. Bot short at 800. I just got in. They just went short, yeah. It's okay. It's only 2. Wow. It wasn't PMI.
Merger could make sense long term, given similar businesses and cost takeout, but with execution and cultural risk, leaves us wondering if Bank of New York's growth pivot is less than meets the eye. There we go.
Less than meets the eye. Robin Vince is revolution.
That's the next one. Assuming 25% cost saves is a different analyst. We forecast this hypothetical deal structured relatively low 10% premium, which would result in estimated high teens internal rate of return, mid-single digits earnings per share accretion. Just some quick sampling of thoughts. And there's Mike Mayo in terms of, he says, listen, they got a great stock valuation now at Bank of New York. Maybe they just want to use it. But I would say it was very strong endorsement of a potential deal, at least on Mike Mayo's part. Nonetheless, you do see Northern Trust shares up sharply.
Let's drop that shit.
There has been a lot of talk, Carl, about regional, sort of this area of banking. Not the big guys, right? Conceivably are still capped out, but that level below.
We'll get Jeffrey's earnings this week. Maybe get a little more areas in that call line.
Yeah, we'll get a sense there in terms of banking, in terms of IPOs. We know have gotten stronger, but
Wow.
M&A, it is a snapshot that sometimes helps one understanding what the Goldmans of the world are also doing.
Oh, yeah. Well, look, when I met with Vince, I got to tell you, once in this
at Bank of New York,
they said, Jim, we're BNY.
Long, bot is short, dude. Yeah, it's fine.
Does so much trading. Problem with it is, this company is not known for credit.
That pump was weird, dude. It's like huge pump.
This is the deal right now. That Lena Khan, wherever she is, she's from representing. And she's saying, I would fight this tooth and nail. This is an outrage. Instead, it's like, hey,
Yeah, doesn't make sense. Just like last time when all the data was bad, it gets pumped.
Trust approach is here. I wish I had more reporting to share on their posture.
Stock hasn't
Yeah.
a great performer. I know it's having a very good day now.
Yeah, but they say that war news is bullish, so I guess it's right.
Pretty fascinating press release from Novo regarding their now
Yeah.
defunct collaboration with Hims and Hers.
I think Oya dipped too.
It will no longer be available, by the way. That is Wegovy and Hims and Hers NovaCare Pharmacy. And
Yeah, so people that long way got right.
say that they failed to adhere to the law which prohibits mass sales of compounded drugs under the false guise of personalization and are disseminating deceptive marketing that puts patient safety at risk. You can see what that's doing to their stock price this morning.
Yeah, heavily short stock. It's interesting because there's this big diabetes conference going on. People are immediately saying, we'll live off this, we'll even hurt by this compounding. Just remember, there is an Amgen presentation later today.
There is.
At the diabetes conference, and Amgen has been known to be able to feel like they've got more, that's a better situation.
Well, so far, I mean, Lilly, again, their obesity pill holding up to scrutiny in the latest trials.
Yeah.
Daily, thank you, the pill. And we're talking the pill, remember, not
4 minutes.
which is what is currently available.
Dump this shit. Come on.
And Wegovy and Mounjaro and the like.
You need to
Wegovy,
add
obviously,
to the
the Novo
shorts.
drug. Novo also has new data on a new injectable that reduced loss an average of 24.3% of body weight loss.
Yeah.
Well, let's say, look, I think that what Amgen is trying to get
This shit,
would
Cajun.
be a once a month instead of once a week.
Yeah, he made 500.
Maybe even once.
It's getting back all those $300 DLL. That static is kind of stupid.
There's issues in terms of transport.
Practice. Yeah.
There's been known to be a drop off of people from Lilly because they object to the injection. I don't know. No one objects to a pill. But yeah, that's all the other pills that you take in the morning. David, you probably don't take any pills. I take a pharmacy with every morning.
Yeah.
Take a pharmacy.
Yeah.
I take a statin. Everybody needs a statin.
I can't take the darn statin.
Why not?
Makes my fingers frozen up with 1%.
Muscle aches or thankfully I haven't had any side effects.
I take that Amgen drug, the one that just like, hey, got to take it.
I take the old original Libertine.
Maybe after it is. I'm still holding it. It's only 2. It's a 300K Apex PA and I have 2 MNQ, so it's fine.
We're in the age reversal situation now, I think. You're rolling that clock back. Look at you.
At 8:14.
I got you. Would be you. Guys finally did one in with Tesla. A little over 3%.
Waiting for you.
It starts robotaxi in Austin. There's somebody in the car though.
That's all.
Somebody in the front
I
seat.
have another one 872 short.
No, good pricing. A little weird to have somebody in the car.
Right.
Yeah, you need to log off.
Cautious. That was all the headlines. Cautious, calm. Dan Ives went though. He was impressed.
Yeah, apparently, look, he loves Tesla. I think one thing it didn't help is the name caller the president. Hey, by the way, Musk, he's every bit as good name callers as the president.
Yeah, he is.
They're great name callers.
He is. And there's a look. Listen, as he had said to me a number of weeks ago when we sat down in Austin and talked about this rollout, slow but steady. He was very strong on the idea. We'll be cautious, safety first. So we'll see over time. But a positive response.
Order submitted.
That's where we are.
Order
Is it a new
canceled.
market or is it going to displace ride sharing? Is it a new
Order
TAM?
submitted.
Nobody can agree on that.
Okay, I think it is very much new TAM. I don't know why that will change. This is a very inexpensive car versus the Waymo.
Yeah, that's shorted.
Waymo is by far the leader right
Order
now.
filled.
Order filled.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not a big data, right? Yeah. Oh wow. We might get back to 900. Now it's 830 plasma short. It gets averaged down.
Yeah, and you kind of, you're a little too rowdy, pulls right over. They don't like that. Self-pull. What you doing there in the back, Jim? That's getting the Waymo upset. You have? Or are you with someone? Or what's going on? It's with that 6 people. Having a party. By the way, before we go to Chip, President Post just now. Everyone keep oil prices down.
Whoa, that drop. My home shit's frozen. Wow, I got out. This the order thing got out for me, but couldn't get out the other one. Wow. Yeah, but my Ninja trader just got frozen. And that is bad. Yeah.
What about service?
Wow, I don't know what's going on.
It's another group of companies that people are not interested in. We want the old days. I mean, we barely talked about AI or NVIDIA or data centers.
I'm short. I just got out in one, but I still hold a couple more shorts at 835.
Mentioned Marvell, but Meta scaling. Yeah, my God, we
It's not over yet.
Zuckerberg willing to
What's up, man?
$100 million, and you get $100 million. He got the stock $10 for it. Although Alexander Wang got $14 billion, but nah, he didn't actually. The scale AI. Are you gonna leave us to go to? If Zuckerberg's willing to pay me that, I'm out of here. Absolutely. He'll come on though. It's against. Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. That's all. I'll stay if you want. It's against.
Looks like it's gonna drop. There we go. Dale? I think my internet went down. Alright, there we go. No. Okay, I can't do TV anymore. No, I'm still holding a short. Spicy.
Order filled. Order submitted.
Guess I have to put music on now because I can't watch TV. Yeah, well, no, my internet's not working. For some reason, the TV keep timing out. Gotta find some music to put in. Yeah, my short's getting it's deep red now. Oh wow. Huh? Apex.
Order submitted.
Yeah, I do want to
Order
get
filled.
SPY puts, but I think I'm gonna wait.
Order canceled. submitted.
Wow, the market is crazy. I think bot's gonna go long. Yeah, well, I thought it was good too. I thought it was gonna dump more. But we'll see. Yeah, 100 points. Trade some of my Apex. What should I trade? 10.
Order submitted.
Are you trading anything?
Order submitted.
Oh. I need a dump. I'm talking about what long. No. I was still short. Yeah, looks like TV's working. Or not. Did he get out the Tesla called green? Oh wow, it went up 5%. Holy crap. Yeah.
Order filled.
Order filled.
Order submitted. Order canceled.
There you go.
Order filled. Order submitted. Order filled. Order submitted. Order filled.
Order filled.
Order canceled. Order submitted. Order filled. Order submitted.
I'm gonna get higher day next. Wow.
Order canceled. Order submitted.
You still long or no? Yeah. No, you flat. Maybe I'm trying to short the 920. I have the Apex. 3 minutes? Oh, what news? Hold on. Maybe. I think it should be fine. I'll keep this short. Yeah, bot might go long, but if bot go long now, it's gonna get wrecked. Still holding this short. Yeah.
submitted.
Around 15 minutes, the packs can go up more. That's not good.
Order canceled.
Oh, wow. That short
Order
is going to
submitted.
get wrecked. Yeah, the news came out.
Order submitted. Order submitted.
Oh, this stupid market. Nope.
Bill. Order submitted. Order canceled. Order filled.
Got some of the good shorts in. Still back on the Apex, but I have a big buff on that one. No, not yet. It doesn't look like it's gonna go long, so I don't know. Maybe it knows something. But that short's like 150 points. That's dead. That short is dead.
Order submitted. Order submitted. Order filled. Order submitted. Order filled. Order submitted.
You know,
Order canceled.
876 is my average on the Apex. Long way to go.
Order canceled.
Yeah, I'm not down too much. I was up 300 earlier, but got greedy. Yeah.
Order submitted. Order canceled. Order submitted.
Trying to keep milking a TPT.
Order submitted.
Damn. Wow. Yeah.
Order submitted.
Almost up 1%. Oh, down. Wow, almost 500 points.
Order failed. Order submitted.
Do you want to try this?
Submitted. Order failed. Order submitted. Order failed.
Nice.
Canceled. Order submitted. Order canceled.
It's gonna be hard to go back to 900.
Order submitted. Order submitted.
You guys stopped out? That's good. Sucker need a drop. I think I'll drop later. Well, I don't know. 15 minutes looks like more upside, so. Yeah.
Order submitted. Order filled. Order filled. Order filled. Order submitted. Order canceled.
Go. Got a long way to go to get out. Add a short at 22,000, just in case.
Order submitted. Order submitted. Order canceled.
Order filled.
Nice. Nice job.
Order submitted.
10.
Order submitted.
Nice.
Order
Order
filled.
filled.
Oh, my Apex went 876. Yeah, I don't. I think I'll go down. And my my TPT is close to payout. I think 2 more grand maybe. Now which one? Oh, I just try to go anything over 50. I keep trying, and I just stop trying to get on and cash out. But today's I'm kind of greedy. Feel like it's topping out, but I don't know.
Order submitted.
Yeah. Oh, you went long? You green now or no?
Order canceled. Order filled.
Order filled.
Order submitted. Order filled.
Order filled.
Order submitted.
Wow. Yeah. I thought we were gonna drop more.
Order
I didn't think
filled.
we were gonna pump like this.
Order submitted. Order canceled. Order submitted.
Yeah. I'm just shorting. I want to get spy puts so bad. I should. I went for 600. If spy hits 600, I'll get. No, I want to get for September. Get back into it.
Order filled.
I don't know, because I'm afraid like later on, because I think it's nighttime for Iran coming up, so they might just nuke. Yeah. I think they will. There's no way they're gonna back it. Wait, well, I don't know. Get a cheap put for September. Alright. 500p. Let's go, baby. Get my puts. 500p for September. SPY puts. 3 minutes overbought, so it's. Oh no, it's still got more room for a little more upside, so I don't know. Music is so boring.
Order submitted.
I really think we're going to hit 22,000. I do think so. We'll see. Still choppy. What are you long at? Oh, it's weird. A bot has a long. I think the bot might long soon, so I think it's gonna get wrecked if it long.
Order filled.
Order filled.
Order filled. Order filled.
Order filled.
Okay, which one? Just shorting up.
Order submitted. Order
Yeah, it
submitted.
hit 22,000 on the dot. Good shit.
Order canceled.
Yeah, I got short in.
Order submitted.
Damn. Oh shit, I didn't cancel my order on my Phidias. Fuck. That's short of 398. Wow. Gotta cancel that.
Order submitted. Order canceled. submitted. Order filled.
Order filled.
Order submitted. Order submitted. Order canceled.
Order filled.
Yes.
Order submitted.
Here we go.
Order canceled. Order submitted. Order filled.
Order filled.
Yeah, it's just taking small gains. If I get this one to pay out, it should be approved because I didn't hit negative 30%. A lot of my Apex is near payout coming up, so gotta take it slow.
Connection lost. Order submitted.
Yeah, it's overbought on 3 minutes for sure, but 15 minutes still looks like more upside. So maybe a little drop and we pump back up again. It wants to get over 22,000 for sure. I think Apex gonna be hurting. For sure, I'm down like 1,000, so I still got 6,000 left on the buffer. Can't really pump this much. My puts is red. Ooh, got out. Hell yeah. Yeah, I guess on the Apex, I'm holding the short. It's 5 of them at 876, so it's okay. It's 300K, so still got a lot of buffer on it. Well, the market. Yeah, a lot of people complaining about it too. I don't know what. Log into your mobile app and just check it out. Oh. Yeah, try on your cell phone, so you see it different. I think some people have an issue with Mac, because mine's fine. No issue on my side. Yeah, you played that many on a 25K? I know, that's a lot for 25K. Yeah, it works, right? Tesla went long on the bot. like, let me get this out. 3 minutes. Looks like it's gonna drop on the oscillator. Already? On the 25K? On one day? Damn. You went ham on it, didn't you? I know, but you going big. I haven't spent a dime on GPT in like 3 months. Or 2 months. Yeah. Well, I wasn't touching it before, but now I am because of Apex. Damn, that's nice too. So you can get out like $130, right? Yeah. Yeah. You just got that Pro on your 150. Work on those. Yeah. So once you get the payout on the 25K, it's cover your eval already. Yeah, you can keep going. Once you're above the threshold, it's easier. Shit, market is slow. Let me go pick the winners. The anchor does not want to die. I'm returning it. I don't like it. Yeah. What's nice about it? They say, yeah, you get 20, was it 2 to 3 days? Test it out. Yeah. Yeah, the tech is not that nice for being a... Huh? Yeah, like, okay, so on my Tesla, when I do the turn signal, right, it has a video, the record, like, you know, the cameras, I can see without me turning my head left and right. Mercedes doesn't have it. And you know how a lot of... No, what is it, the Kia EV9 and then the Hyundai, the one that I wanted, those has it. And then they also have a digital rear mirror. And the Mercedes doesn't have it. I was like, what? Yeah. I like Tesla. I like driving it. It's just feels good. Nothing. My wife's Honda is messing up, so that's why we got a new one. No, 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 no. Yeah. No, mine's in 2019. Yeah. We were just chopping. Why is Tesla? Oh, wow. Tesla's up 8% because of the robotaxi. Yeah. We should have got calls when it was dipping last week, remember? Yeah. A robotaxi looks pretty cool. They're testing it out in Cali. No, they don't have that yet. It's only Tesla cars. Because those cars has a stamp on the side that says robotaxi. Yeah, and it looks like it's only the new Model Y. Those, yeah, YouTube videos. Nice. Are you close to getting payout for those stream? Mm-hmm. I'm still holding my short. It might get 9.5, but it looks like it's gonna drop on my end, so it's starting to curve down. You might be able to get out. It's getting boring now. Nice.
Order filled.
Order filled.
Oh, then my thing went short.
Order submitted. Order canceled.
Order filled.
I'm gonna try to work with day traders, see if they can get us some freebies for the straight to funded when it's out. Right now they have 90% off. Better be short now.
Order submitted. Order filled.
Order filled.
Order submitted.
Later, buddy.
Order filled.
Order filled.
Order filled.
Order filled.
Oh shit, everything's going short for me.
Order submitted.
And it's pumping.
Order submitted.
Nice.
Order
Order
canceled.
filled.
There we go. I got my $100 on TPT. Pay out, baby.
Order
Order
canceled.
filled.
Order canceled.
Nice drop. I shorted those. Yeah. Sucker would not die. Yeah.
Order submitted.
Damn, that's a nice drop. Try to reach short. I'm up 300 on this Apex. But greedy. Bag holding. Damn. It looks like it might start to drop soon. What are you short at, Chris? Nice. Yo, trading. Ain't you up a lot? Oh, damn. That 970 keep holding and even drop. Six minutes for what? Yeah, someone said 6 minutes. I don't know. Okay. I might try Project X on DT later. Buy one for myself. I think it will. Just give it time. It's back in a Tesla? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Hey, my SPY puts is green. What the hell? Oh, SPY did drop. Nice. I've been doing good with options, so I might get back in. I'm not touching Tesla, dude. I hate Tesla. Cajun. You got a hater. was pocket watching him. Yeah, that's weird, right? I don't know, bot knows something, but shit. I am out my Phidias cash. Fuck, I was holding that for a long time. I didn't even... Oh, yeah. Good shit though, that's a good short. What is it? The thing is the Twitter one. Yeah. In Dallas, you know, right? Apex is a long way to get out. It's a good day though. Everything else is green. Yeah, you did good, dude. Good job. Get some payout. Just size down one show with a buffer. I'm just taking $50 to $100 payout daily, so it's fine. Yeah, but you want the big money. It adds up because you're not blowing accounts, you know what I mean? Because it costs money to buy those evals again. I'm about to get $2,000 payout on this MFF expert PA this week. Yeah, I got a couple. I think I got a long time ago. It took me, oh wait, 20 something days. Finally, like way up there now. X was good, but it's expensive. You blow it, so I only got one. I think so. 3 minutes looks bad. Oh shit, my thing's off. Yeah, 3 minutes looks like it's gonna drop more. Shit, keep going back up. I know. Give it time. Give it time. Well, of course I'm gonna say it's gonna drop. I'm bag holding. Yeah, 15 minutes looks fine. Let me check again. 15 minutes. Yeah, I got a long way to go before it's gonna drop. I think Trump comes on today. Yeah, it's not going anywhere. Gonna go back up now. Well, 3 minutes looks like it's gonna go back up, but 15 minutes on my trace station looks like it's gonna fall back. Just gotta wait. Let me check the hourly. Hold on. 1 hour. Yeah. Well, we might get all-time high soon. Huh? That sucks. Dang, back to 22K. Quick. You went long? Nice. What's the PA fee for day traders? Let me see. Fee. Hey Clara, what you doing, baby? You up now? Ready? Hey. We gotta work. Go, baby. Yeah, thank you.